Shut up, you music. Oh, shit, we're live. Good evening, everybody. This is KNN live coverage of the final 2020 American presidential debate. Hey, Laura, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. So it looks like things are about to start. By the way, just a side note, we are blossomless this evening. Something about Canada, not important. But tonight,
No.
Larry and I are here live. We're going to be watching the C-SPAN coverage of the final 2020 American presidential debate. Should be a rip-snorting good time.
I hope that there's some rippage and snortage.
Rip and tear until it's done.
Like tearing into that bag of crack.
A bag of crack might be helpful trying to get
And
through
then
this nonsense.
Snorting it and then, or smoking it and then putting it on like a laptop.
Yeah, that sounds good. All that sounds good.
And then getting like a legion of dog-faced pony soldiers.
All right, while you're describing this, let's cut live to the C-SPAN feed. Oh, it appears Kristen Welker is speaking. I'm not sure what she's saying. Let's unmute and find out.
ABC News, and I welcome you to the final 2020 presidential debate between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. Tonight's debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. It is conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Commission's health security advisor. The audience here in the hall has
Feel free to let us know if the volume levels are good.
No cheers, boos, or other interruptions, except right now as we welcome to the stage
Don't mind if I do.
Joe Biden and President Donald J. Trump.
For contour.
I'm going to turn it down to half. Everybody let me know how the volume is.
I'm done with the fucking man.
Yeah, Trump came out with no mask. Biden comes out. Oh, he blew a kiss. Blah.
And I do want to say a very good evening to both of you. This debate will cover 6 major topics. At the beginning of each section, each candidate will have 2 minutes uninterrupted to answer my first question. The debate commission will then turn on their microphone only when it is their turn to answer. And the commission will turn it off exactly when the 2 minutes
because you people are children.
Both microphones will remain on, but on behalf of the voters, I'm going to ask you to please speak one at a time. The goal is for you to hear each other and for the American people to hear every word of what you both have to say.
Bullshit.
With that,
Boy.
let's start. And we will begin with
She's so perky. Remember that, everybody, because at the end of the night,
the country is heading into a dangerous new phase. More than 40,000 Americans are in the hospital tonight with COVID, including record numbers here in Tennessee. And since the two of you last shared a stage, 16,000 Americans have died from COVID. So please be specific. How would you lead the country during this next stage of the coronavirus crisis? 2 minutes, uninterrupted.
So, as you know, 2.2 million people modeled out were expected to die. We closed up the greatest economy in the world in order to fight this horrible disease that came from China. It's a worldwide pandemic. It's all over the world. You see the spikes in Europe. And
should we have a China counter?
Right now.
No, we die.
Notice the mortality
if we have a China counter?
Oh, I was thinking of taking shots.
Oh, no. A counter China shot?
Much lower than almost any other country.
To inoculate yourself from the Wu flu? No, we're going to get got. Stop talking about it.
In Florida, and it's now gone.
Yeah, we can't.
There was a very big spike in Texas. It's now gone. There was a very big spike in Arizona. It's now gone. And there are some spikes and surges in other places. They will soon be gone. We have a vaccine that's coming. It's ready. It's going to be announced within weeks, and it's going to be delivered. We have Operation Warp Speed, which is the military is going to distribute the vaccine. I can tell you from personal experience that I was in the hospital.
Does he have any opinions on this?
Better, and I
do you have any opinions? No, he doesn't have the Rona.
Okay, good.
Not that he would die, but then I'd take off of work and it would be awesome.
Well, good. He's not part of the
I was in for a
spikes.
short period of time, and I got better very fast, or I
Do you have
wouldn't be
anything
here
to say
tonight.
about this?
And now they say I'm immune. Whether it's 4 months or a lifetime, nobody's been
Nobody
able to say
heard that.
but I'm immune.
That's fine.
More and more people are getting better. We have a problem that's a worldwide problem. This is a worldwide problem. But I've been congratulated by the heads of many countries on what we've been able to do.
All the countries love me.
If you take a look at what we've done in terms of goggles and masks and gowns and everything else, and in particular ventilators. We're now making ventilators all over the world, thousands and thousands a month, distributing them all over the world. It will go away, and as I say, we're rounding the turn, we're rounding the corner. It's going away.
Okay, former Vice President Biden, to you, how would you lead the country out of this crisis?
All right,
You
let's
have 2
count the
minutes
pauses.
uninterrupted.
Yeah. He's gonna look straight at the
220,000
camera.
Americans dead. Hear
1,
nothing else I say tonight.
2,
Do this.
3,
Anyone is responsible for not taking control. In
4,
fact, not saying I take no responsibility initially.
5.
Anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America.
6.
We're in a situation where there are 1,000 deaths a day now.
Why does
1,000
it
deaths a
sound
day.
like he's got something in
And
his
there are over
mouth? Am I-
70,000
Yeah, he does look like he just smelled some ass,
No,
which
no.
wouldn't be
that's-
unlike him.
What's going on in
He
Europe,
sounds like his
as
tongue
the
is
New England
numb or
Medical
something.
Journal said,
Listen,
they're starting
it's like
from a very
slurring.
low rate. We're starting from a very high rate. The expectation is we'll have another 200,000 Americans dead between now and the end of the year.
Be
If
time?
we just wore these masks, the president's own advisors have told him, we could save 100,000 lives. And we're in a
Wait, if we wear
circumstance
your
where the
mask
president thus
or
far
any mask?
still has no
Well,
plan,
he had it in his
no
hand, so I don't know if he should put it
comprehensive
back
plan. What
on.
I
Yeah.
would do is make sure we have
Why not leave it
everyone
on,
encouraged to
Joe? I mean,
wear
that
a
mic could be
mask all the
disgusting.
time. I would make sure we move in the direction of rapid testing, investing in rapid
I
testing.
wanna wear
would make sure
my
that
real
we
mask.
set up
Fantastic.
national
Has he
standards
moved
how
his
to
head?
open up
Is it
schools
just me,
and
or
open
is
up
his head
businesses
not
so they
moved?
can be safe and give them the
He's
wherewithal, the
fucking
financial
reading
Is it
this
like
shit
one of
off.
to do that.
Is it like
We're in
one
a
of those
situation
stability
now
cameras?
where the New
Or like-
England
I
Medical
have
Journal,
no
one of the
idea.
serious-
It
most
just
serious
seems like his
journals
head
in
doesn't
the
move.
whole world
He's
said
like
for the
focused
first
on
time
one
ever
spot,
that
so he doesn't
the
fall
way
over.
This president has responded
Well,
to
because
this
he's got to
crisis
listen
has
really
been
hard to
absolutely
the
tragic.
earpiece.
And so, folks,
That's right.
I will take care of this. I will end this. I will make sure we have a plan.
President Trump, I'd like to follow up with you in your comments. You talked about taking a therapeutic. I assume you're referencing Regeneron. You also said a vaccine will be coming within weeks.
Yes.
Is that a guarantee?
No, it's not a guarantee, but it will be by the end of the year. But I think it has a good chance. There are 2 companies, I think, within a matter of weeks, and it will be distributed very quickly.
Can you tell us which companies?
Johnson & Johnson is doing very well. Moderna is doing very well. Pfizer is doing very well, and we have
That's
numerous
3.
others.
That's 3.
And then we also have others that we're working on very closely with other countries, in particular Europe.
Let me follow up with you, and because this is new information, you have said a vaccine is coming soon, within weeks now. Your own officials say it could take well into 2021 at the earliest for enough Americans to get vaccinated. And even then, they say the country will be wearing masks and distancing into 2022. Is your timeline realistic?
No, I think my timeline is going to be more accurate. I don't know that they're counting on the military the way I do, but we have our generals lined up, one in particular that's the head of logistics.
We're going to nuke everybody with the
Easy
vaccine.
distribution for him. He's ready to go. As soon as we have
We're
the
going to
vaccine,
bomb the shit
we
out of him.
expect to have 100 million
That would probably
vials.
be
As soon as we have the vaccine, he's ready
pretty
to go.
effective.
Vice President Biden, your
I mean,
reaction, just
technically.
40% of Americans say they would definitely agree to take a coronavirus
Oh, Triple D
vaccine
donated
if it was
£1
approved by the
through
government.
Super
What
Chat. Thank you,
steps would
Danny.
you take to give Americans
Thank you,
Oh, through
Tommy.
in a
YouTube.
vaccine if it were approved?
Make sure it's totally
Make sure,
transparent. Have the scientists of the world see it, know it, look at it, go through all the processes. And by the way, this is the same fellow.
No,
who told you
seriously,
this is
he
gonna end by
sounds
Easter
really
last year.
bad.
This is the same fellow who told you that, don't
no,
worry, we're
there's-
going to
there's
end
some
this by
slurring
the
going
summer.
on.
We're about to go into a dark winter. A dark winter. He has
A-
no
a
clear
dark
plan,
winter,
and
you
no
say?
prospect that there's going to be a vaccine available for the majority of the American people before the middle of next year.
President Trump, your reaction, he says you have no
I don't think we're
plan.
going to have a dark winter at all. We're opening up our country. We've learned and studied and understand the disease.
Oh, this
which we
guy.
didn't at the
I'm telling you,
beginning.
Biden's head
When
doesn't
I closed
move.
and banned
It looks
China
down or
from
up.
coming in heavily infected,
Like from
and
the
then
last-
ultimately Europe.
The
When
last
China
debate,
was in
you're the
January,
worst
months later, he
president
was saying I was
we've ever
xenophobic.
had.
I did it too soon. Now he's saying, oh, I should have, moved quicker.
This is
But
like,
he didn't move quicker. He was months
I
behind.
think I
Many
think
months
this is
behind me.
done.
And
I mean, he
frankly,
think he
ran
knows.
the H1N1
Oh, look at his
No.
smile. Look at
swine
this
flu.
shit-eating
It
grin.
was a total disaster,
Yeah.
far less lethal.
Yeah, I'm thinking
It
about
was a
sniffing
total
my wife
disaster.
after this.
Had that had this kind of
Well, his wife's too old
numbers,
for him now.
Yeah, that's true.
700,000
Wait, I'm
people
married?
would be dead right now. But it was a
It's
far
my
less
sister,
lethal
not
disease.
my wife.
Look, his own
They're the
person
same.
who ran that for him, who, as you know, was his chief of staff, said it was catastrophic. It was horrible.
Does-
we didn't know what we were doing.
Maybe it's the cameras,
Now
but
he
does
comes up
Trump
and he
look
tells
more
us how to
burnt
do
tonight?
this. Also, everything that
Yeah,
he said about
he
the
does
way
look a little
every
more
single
on
move that he
the
said we should make,
like greenish.
that's
I
what
was
we've
noticing,
done. We've done all of it.
Yeah.
But he
but
was
then I
way
noticed
behind
his
us.
hair's a little
Vice President Biden, your
different.
response.
My response is he is xenophobic, but not because he shut down access.
Oh,
to
wow.
And he did it
It's a
late
bold
after
claim.
many countries had already done that. In addition
Remember
to that,
when?
what he did, he made
Do you
sure that we had
remember?
44 people
I don't know
that
if
were
you
in there
guys in the
in
chat
China
remember,
Remember
to Wuhan.
21st
what
of
exactly the source
September.
was. What did the president say
but
in January?
you
He said,
maybe
no,
remember,
he said,
Heyman.
he's
Remember
being
when they
transparent.
when they
The
first
president
heard
of
about
China is being transparent. We
Corona,
owe him a
or
debt
at
of
least in
gratitude.
February,
We have to
and they
thank
were all
him.
like,
And
"Hey
then
guys,
what happened was we started talking
don't
about
be
using the Defense
xenophobic.
Act to make sure we
Go
go out
and
and get whatever is needed
Go
out there
go to
protect
the
people."
Chinese
And
New
again,
Year.
I go back to
Go
this.
hug a
He had
Chinese
nothing. He
person."
did virtually
Yes, I vaguely
nothing.
remember that there was
Then
like
he
a
gets out of the
Chinese
hospital,
festival in
and he talks about,
California
this
that
is over.
Pelosi
Don't
went
worry.
to, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Look, everything's
All will be
fine."
over
Wee.
soon. Come on.
And then like
There's not
Italy
another
did
serious
that,
scientist in the world who
and they
thinks it's
had
gonna be
like
over
this
soon.
campaign where it was like
Your
hug a
reaction?
Over
Chinese
soon. I say we're
person.
learning to live with it. We have no choice. We can't lock ourselves up in a basement like Joe does.
Hug a
He-
Chinese person, you
he
sick
has
bigot.
the ability to lock himself
2
up.
weeks
I don't know.
later,
He's
Italy
obviously
had
a lot
to
of money
shut
somewhere.
down
Shut
everything.
down.
But he has this
Yeah.
thing about
Oh, his
living in a
face!
basement.
Did you see
People
Biden's
can't
face?
do that.
That's
But
a
I
wet
as
fart.
president
A
couldn't
little
do that.
leaked
I'd like
out.
to put myself in the basement or in a
Oh, he
beautiful
actually
room in the
turned his
White
head.
House
I'm impressed.
And go away for
Look
a
at
year
him.
and a half until it disappears. I
Well,
can't
the
do that.
holograms
And
can't
Chris,
really move
every
that
meeting I
much.
had, every meeting I had, and I'd meet a lot of families, including Gold Star families and military families. Every meeting I had, and I had to meet them. I had to. It would be horrible to have canceled everything. I said, this is dangerous. And
It had to
catch
be
it.
done.
And, I caught it. I learned a lot. Great doctors, great hospitals. And now I recovered.
Why didn't you do a Zoom
99.9
meeting?
of young people
Why didn't
recover.
you show 'em where they injected the
99% of people
drugs?
recover. We have to recover. We can't
Remember,
close
you
up our
said to
region. We have
put
to open
bleach
our
in your
school, and
mind.
we can't
You're
close up
the
our
worst
nation, or we're not going to
president
have a
we
nation.
Of course,
ever.
this is
Why don't you
sad
take
that
some
young
more
people can get sick with COVID-19 and can
chlorine?
pass it. Vice President Biden, I want to talk broadly about strategy, though. You
Can I
have
respond to that?
30 seconds, please, and
30
then I have a
seconds.
question.
No.
Whoa, wait! Why does he
He
get 30
said that
seconds?
we're,
Yeah.
we're
I
learning
thought
to
that's
live
not how
with
this works.
People are learning
Because
to
he
die
said,
with
"May
it.
I?"
You
and not
folks
"can
home
I?"
have an empty chair at the kitchen table this morning. That man or wife going to bed tonight and reaching over to try to touch their, out of habit, where their wife or husband was. We're dying with it.
Oh, shit.
because
You could
he's
see the
never
brain
said-
skip
he
there.
said it's dangerous.
Yeah, it's
When's the
just
last
like
time? Is it
in
really
New York
dangerous still?
Yeah.
and
We dangerous? You tell the
Michigan
people it's
and
dangerous now? What you
California
gonna do about
and
the
New
danger?
Jersey,
And you say,
and
I
there was
take
one
full
other state
responsibility.
there where
Let me talk
where they
about your
put
two-
Excuse me, I take
Very
full,
quickly.
I take full
COVID
responsibility.
patients in a retirement
It's not my
community.
fault that he came here.
Killed
It's
off a
China's
bunch of
fault. And you know
people.
what? It's not Joe's fault that he came here either. It's China's fault.
Look at
They
the
kept
face
it from
Joe's
going
making.
into the rest of
What?
China for the
China?
most part, but they didn't keep
They
it
paid
from
me a
going
lot
out
of
to the
money.
world, including Europe and ourselves.
Allegedly.
Vice President Biden.
The fact
I'm a
is that
big
when
guy
we knew it was coming,
for
when it hit,
you.
what happened? What did the president say? He said, don't worry, it's going to go away. Be gone by Easter. Don't worry, the warm weather. Don't worry, maybe inject bleach. He said he was kidding when he said that.
Oh, and there it
People thought
is.
was
You
serious.
called it, Laura.
The whole range of
said
things
it.
the president said, even today, he thinks we
You heard
are
it, everybody.
in control.
Vice President
We're
Joe
about to lose
Biden said
200,000 more people.
that you should drink bleach.
President Trump.
Look, perhaps just to finish this, I was kidding on that, but just to finish this, when I closed, he said I shouldn't have closed. And that went on for months. Nancy Pelosi said the same thing. She was dancing on the streets in Chinatown in San Francisco.
There it is.
Closed.
She was
He
going,
said,
ching chong, bing
"This is a
bong, bing
terrible
wow
thing. You're
wow.
xenophobic." I think he called me racist even. And because I was closing it to China. Now he says I should have closed it earlier.
What? That was her celebrating.
Oh, that was your Nancy
Certainly
Pelosi
did.
impression?
He
Okay.
certainly did.
We gotta go and have
It wasn't about closing the border
go
to
have
Chinese
some egg rolls
coming
and
to the United States.
Chinese.
All right, I want to talk about both of your different
Good morning.
strategies to handling
He thought
this.
I shouldn't
morning,
have closed
Sunday
the border.
morning.
That's obvious.
Is that? Do you want to respond to that quickly, Vice President? Biden?
Oh my God.
Why
Let's
is
talk about your
good?
different
What is
Glad
this?
you said
They're
no.
breaking the
You said
format.
Mr.
They're
Vice President,
breaking
you
the
suggested
conditioning.
Support new shutdowns if
Mr.
scientists recommend
Biden,
it.
do you want
What do you say to
answer?
Americans who are fearful that the cost of shutdowns, the impact on the economy, the higher rates of hunger, depression, domestic and substance abuse outweighs the risk of exposure to the
Substance
virus?
abuse.
What I would say is I'm going to shut down the virus, not the country. It's his ineptitude that caused the
How do you-
country to have to shut down.
Cause the
in
virus-
large
call
part.
the,
Why businesses have gone under.
He's
why
going to call
schools
the
are
virus
closed, why
fat
so
and then
many
ask
people
it to
have
do
lost
40
their living,
push-ups.
and why they're concerned. Those other concerns
whip
are
that
real.
virus
That's
into
why
shape.
He should have been, instead of
Discipline,
in the sand trap of his
discipline.
golf course, he should have been negotiating with Nancy
Oh, he was
Pelosi
on
and the rest of the Democrats and Republicans about what
Do
to
you know what I
do
found
about
out
the
recently
acts
about
they were
Nancy
passing for
Pelosi?
billions
What
of
did you
dollars
recently
to
find
make
out
sure
about
people
her?
had the
She
capacity.
hasn't
You
talked
haven't ruled
to
out more shutdowns.
the president
Well,
for
no,
a year.
I'm not shutting
Like,
down
she's
anything,
used
but there are- look,
intermediaries
You
the
need
whole
standard.
entire
The
time.
standard is if you have a reproduction rate
Instead
in a
of direct-
community that's above a certain
directly
level,
talking to
everybody
them.
says slow up, more social distancing, do not open bars and do not open gymnasiums, do not open until you get this
Oh,
under
yeah, they're
control,
closing bars in
under more
Chicago
control.
again.
But when you do open, give the
'Cause I'm
people
sure it
the
worked real
capacity
well
to
the
be
first
able to
time.
open and have the capacity to
Hey,
do it
do you keep
safely.
getting the
For example,
chat
schools.
disconnection and then
Schools, they need
reconnection?
Yeah, I
more
don't-
money to
that
open.
looks
They
like a
need to
YouTube
deal with
issue. I'm not sure
ventilation
why it's
systems.
doing
They
that.
need to deal with
Oh,
smaller
I
classes,
bet.
more teachers, more pods. And he's refused to support that money, or at least up to now.
Let's talk about schools.
Well,
President Trump,
I
you,
think we have to respond, if I might.
please, and then I have a follow-up.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. Look, all he does is talk about shutdowns, but forget about him. His Democrat governors, Cuomo in New York, you look at what's going on in California, you look at Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Democrats all, they're shut down so
Oh, yeah, I
tight,
just said
and
those
they're
things.
dying. They're dying. And he supports all these people. All he talks about is shutdowns. No, we're not going to shut down, and we have to open our schools. And it's like, as an example, I have a young son. He also tested positive. By the time I spoke to the doctor the second time, he was fine. It just went away. Young people, I guess it's their immune system.
Let me follow up with you, President Trump. You've demanded schools open in person and insist they can do it safely. But just yesterday, Boston became the latest city to move its public school system entirely online after a coronavirus spike. What is your message to parents who worry that sending their children to school will endanger not only their kids, but also their teachers and families?
I want to
Well,
open the schools.
can I just want to say, excuse me,
the
Mr.
teachers
Trump.
is very small.
If
I wanna open
your
the schools.
teacher's
We have to
name is
open our
Jeffrey
country. We're not gonna have a
Tubin,
country. You
like,
can't do this. We
don't,
can't keep
like,
this
just
country
don't,
closed. This is a
don't go on
massive
Zoom with that guy.
country with a massive economy. People are losing their jobs. They're committing suicide. There's depression, alcohol, drugs at a level that nobody's ever
Crack.
seen before. There's abuse, tremendous abuse. We have to open our country. You know, I've said it often. The cure cannot be worse than the problem itself.
Vice
And that's
President.
what's happening. And he wants to close down. He'll close down the country if one person in our massive bureaucracy says we should close it down.
Vice President Biden, your
Simply
response.
not true. We ought to be able to walk
Oh,
and chew gum at the
simply
same
not true.
time. We ought to be able to safely open, but would they need resources to open? You need to be able to, for example, if you're going to open a business, have social distancing within the business.
Oh
you need
my
to have, if you have a
God.
restaurant, you need to have plexiglass dividers.
Does
so
this
people
guy
cannot
not work? No, he
infect one
doesn't.
another. You need to be in a
I
position where
work-
you can take testing rapidly
work
and
every
know
day.
whether a person is in fact infected. You need to be able to
And
trace.
I
You
have
need
to
be able
go to
provide
work. I can't
all
go
the resources
online
that are
and
needed to
Zoom
do
in or
this.
whatever.
And that is not inconsistent with saying
And that's all we
that
do.
what
Like, my
we're gonna
hands are,
make
like,
sure that we open
chapped and
safely.
dry
By the
from
way,
all the
all you
fucking
teachers out there, not that many of you are going to die.
hand
so don't worry
sanitizer.
about
I
it.
have to wear a
So
mask
don't
every
worry
single
about
day. Like, it's like we're
President
doing all
Trump,
this
let me follow
stupid
up with you
shit.
quickly.
By the way, I will say this. If
Don't
you
worry
go and look
about
at
it.
what's happened to New York, it's a ghost town. It's a ghost
Yeah.
town. And when
Chicago's
you
a
talk about
ghost town,
plexiglass,
too.
these are restaurants that are dying. These are businesses with no money Putting up plexiglass is unbelievably expensive, and it's not the answer. I mean, you're going to sit there in
Herb
a
says you
cubicle
seem
wrapped
biased.
around with plastic.
Well, I am.
These
And
are
kids,
businesses
yeah, I
that
know.
are
He's been
dying,
in,
Joe. You can't
he's
do
been
that to
in
people.
politics
You
for
just
47
can't.
years.
Take a look at
so.
New York and what's happened to my wonderful city for so many years. I loved it. It was vibrant. It's dying. Everyone's leaving New York.
Take a look
Vice
at what
President
New
Biden.
York has done in terms of turning the curve down in terms of the number of people dying. And I don't look at this in terms of the way he does. Blue states and red states. They're all the United States. And look at the states that are having such a spike in the coronavirus. They're the red states. They're the states
Oh,
in the
wait, I
Midwest.
thought he
They're the
said he
states in the upper
was
Midwest. That's where the spike is occurring.
about it.
But they're all Americans.
God.
They're all Americans. And what we have to
Oh,
do is
sorry
say,
for the pointer, everybody.
wear these masks, number one.
Oh, actually, I could
make
probably have a
sure
little bit of fun
we
with
get
it.
the help that the businesses need. That
Yeah,
has
there we go.
Money's already been passed to do that.
Now
It's
do
been
the
out
other
there
guys
since
so I
the
don't seem
beginning of
to,
the summer.
Yeah.
Nothing's
Hold on.
happened.
Let me get Trump
Listen,
to.
New York has lost more than 40,000 people, 11,000 people in nursing homes.
President Trump, what
when you
about-
say spike,
Oh,
take a look at what's happening in Pennsylvania, where they've had it closed. Take a look at what's happening with your friend in Michigan, where her husband's the only one allowed to do anything. It's been like a prison. Now it was just ruled unconstitutional.
That's not
Take a
true.
look at North Carolina. They're having spikes, and they've been closed, and they're getting killed financially. We can't let that happen, Joe. You can't let that happen. We have to open up. And we understand the disease. We have to protect our seniors. We have to protect our elderly. We have to protect especially
he's
our
talking
seniors
about
with
you.
heart problems and diabetes problems. And we will
Dementia?
protect them. We have the best testing in the world by far. That's why we have so many cases.
Let me follow up
Because
with
it
you
shows.
before we move on to our next section. President Trump, this week you called Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's best-known infectious disease expert, quote, a disaster. You described him and other medical experts as, quote, idiots. If you're not listening to them, who are you listening to as you fight this?
I'm listening to all of them, including Anthony. I get along very well with Anthony. But he did say, don't wear masks. He did say, as you know, this is not going to be a problem. I think he's a Democrat, but that's okay. He said this is not going to be a problem. We are not going to
have a
have
special
a problem
guest.
at all. When
What's
Joe
up, Alex?
says that I said, Anthony Fauci said,
Eric?
and others, and many others, and I'm not knocking him a lot.
Holy
Nobody knew.
shit.
Look, nobody knew what this thing was. Nobody knew where it was coming from, what it was. We've learned
live,
a lot.
right?
But Anthony
Yep.
said,
We're
don't wear
live.
masks. Nobody
Welcome.
wants to wear
Nice.
masks. Anthony
Yeah, so
also
hop
said,
into my
if you look
live
back,
thing and
exact
you can
words,
watch
here's
the
his
debate
exact
at the
words.
same point we
This
are.
is no problem. This is going to go
Oh,
away soon.
don't-
So he's allowed to
shit.
make mistakes.
We're
He happens
watching
to
the
be a
Joy
good
Luck
person.
Club.
Vice President Biden, your response quickly, and then we're going to move on to the next
My
section.
response is that think about what the president knew in January and didn't tell the American people. He was told this was a serious virus that spread in the air, and it was much worse than the flu. He went on record and said to one of your colleagues, recorded, that in fact he knew how
How did y'all
dangerous
get
it
this
was,
far
but he didn't
ahead
want
of
to
me?
tell us.
I'm watching this
He
live
didn't want
on
to
my
tell us because
television.
he didn't want us to panic. He didn't want us, Americans don't
Magic.
panic.
Because we
We're
got the good
every-
shit. We're a
time
news
grab.
network.
In the
Duh.
meantime, we find out in the New York Times the other day that, in fact, his folks went to Wall Street and said this is a really dangerous thing. And a memo out of that meeting, not from his administration, but from some of the brokers, said sell short because we got to get moving. It's a dangerous problem.
Well, this is
I'm going
one
to give
I-
you
this
30
is one I
seconds to
haven't-
respond, and then we're
The
going
Wall
to
Street
move
one,
on.
I don't know. Somebody went to Wall Street. You're the one that takes all the money from Wall Street. I don't take it.
I have.
You have raised a lot of money, tremendous amounts of
Wow,
money.
yeah,
And every
that's
time you
that's
raise
the
money,
real
deals are made,
number.
Joe. I could
Yep.
raise so much more money as president and as somebody that knows most of those people. I could call the heads of Wall Street, the heads of every company in America. I would blow away every record, but I don't want to do that because it puts me in a bad
know who does
position.
blow?
And then you bring up Wall Street. You shouldn't be bringing up Wall Street because you're
Hunter
the one
Jenna-
who's
Jenna
from Wall Street,
Jameson.
not
Oh,
me.
sorry.
I bet Trump
could
has
blow away
probably
your
done-
records that like you
A
wouldn't
little bit of
believe. We
blow?
don't need money. We have plenty of money. In fact, we beat
he's a
Hillary
rich New
Clinton
York-
with a tiny fraction of the money that she was able
All right,
to.
gentlemen, we're
But
going to
don't
move
tell me
on.
about Wall
Average
Street.
contribution, $43.
All right, we're going to move on to our next section, which is national security. And I do want to start.
Did he really just
boy.
pull out an
Yeah.
average there?
From overnight.
Fuck
The average
off, Joe.
Top
contribution
intelligence officials
is
confirmed again that
good.
both Russia and Iran are working to influence this election. Both
Yeah,
countries
I've
have
been
obtained
surprised
U.S.
at
voter
how
registration
incredibly civil
information,
this-
these officials say, and Iran sent
Well,
intimidating messages.
I mean, I know
to
they can
Florida
cut the mics
voters.
and they have
This
turns
question
and
goes
shit
to you,
up
Mr. Vice
last
President.
time,
What
but
would you do
it's
to put an end to
crazy,
this
actually.
threat? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
I made it clear and I ask everyone else to take the pledge. I made it clear that any country, no matter who
Pledge.
it is, that interferes in American
Lemon
relations
pledge.
will pay a price. They
United
will
States.
pay a price.
Oh,
It's been
he's gonna
overwhelmingly
bring it up.
clear This election.
Oh, he's
won't
doing
be
hand
beginning of the
gestures. That
last
means
one.
he's serious.
This election.
No, I
Russia has
hope
been
he
involved.
brings it up.
China's been involved to some degree, and now we learn that Iran is involved. They will pay a price if I'm elected. They're interfering
China's
with
been
American
involved to some
sovereignty.
degree.
That's what's going on right now. They're interfering with
mic working?
American
Okay.
sovereignty.
Yeah, you just gotta
Best
make
of
it a
my
little
knowledge, I don't
louder.
think the
Maybe
president said anything
maybe
to
it's
Putin
my
about it.
end.
I don't think he's stalking them a lot.
shit.
I don't think he said a word. I don't know why he hasn't
Wait,
said a word.
I had you lower than
And I don't know
normal.
what he has recently said, if anything,
For no
to the
reason
Iranians.
in
My guess is he'd probably be
particular.
more outspoken with regard to the Iranians. But the point is this, folks. We are in a situation where
The
we have
uraniums.
countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, I will. His buddy,
What?
Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information
There it
that
is.
Russian, that is not true. And then what happens?
Oh, my
Nothing
God.
happens. And then you find
Look
out
at Trump.
everyone
Trump's
is
gonna
going
do
out
it.
here
Did
about
he
He's gonna
Russia
do it.
wanting to
anything?
make sure that I
Your
do not
buddy-
get elected the
Your
next president of the
buddy,
United States
I
because
shouldn't
they
say.
know I know them, and they know me.
Your buddy,
I don't understand why this
Giuliani,
president
you're
is
all
on
Well,
Russia taking
I'm not going to say it. Wait,
actually
yes, I am going to say
paying
it.
bounties to kill
Well,
American
heck,
citizens in
I'll go
Afghanistan
for
when he's
it.
engaged in activities that are trying to
No,
destabilize
K&N asked,
all of
wait, did
NATO.
Biden bring up the
I
thing
don't
you
know
wanted
why
to
he
avoid?
doesn't
That's what
do
it sounds
but
like.
It's worth asking the question, why isn't that being done? Any country that interferes with us will, in fact, pay a price
Trump's
because they're affecting our
biting his
sovereignty.
tongue, but he
he's
made a
popping
face
his
and now he's
cheese.
Same question to you.
to
Let me
respond.
ask the question. You're going to have 2 minutes to respond. For 2 elections in a row now, there has been substantial interference from foreign adversaries. What would you do in your next term to put an end to this? 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Well, let me respond to the first part, as Joe answered. Joe got $3.5 million from Russia, and it came through Putin because he was very friendly with the
face.
former mayor of Moscow, who was
Dad.
Moscow's wife, and you got $3.5 million. Your family got $3.5 million.
Oh,
and,
he
you know,
did it.
someday you're going to have to
He's
explain
doing it.
why did you get 3.5. I never got any money from Russia. I don't get money from Russia. Now, about your thing last night, I knew
Oh,
all
he
about
just-
that.
he
And
signaled.
through John Ratcliffe, who is fantastic, DNI, he said, the one thing that's common to both of them, they both want you to lose because there has been nobody tougher to Russia. Between the sanctions, nobody tougher than me on Russia. Between the sanctions, between all of what I've done with NATO, you know, I've got the NATO countries to put up an extra $130 billion, going to $420 billion a year. That's to guard against Russia. I sold, while he was selling pillows and sheets, I sold Ghostbusters to Ukraine. There has been nobody tougher
pillows and sheets.
on Russia than Donald Trump.
I could use one
I'll
right
tell you,
now.
they were so bad. They took over the submarine port. You remember that very well. During your term, during you and Barack Obama, they took over a big part of what should have been Ukraine. You handed it to them. But you were getting a lot of money from Russia. They were paying you a lot of money, and they probably still are. But now, with
doing
what
it.
came out today,
Oh my
it's even worse.
gosh.
All of the emails, the horrible emails of the kind
Oh,
of money
he's
that you
bringing
were
it up.
raking in, you and your family. And Joe, you were vice president when some of this was happening, and it should have never happened. And I think you owe an explanation to the
Holy
American people.
shit.
Why is it? Somebody just had a news conference a little while ago who was essentially supposed to work with you and your family.
Somebody, he had it
What he
for
said
him.
Somebody.
was damning. And regardless of me, I think you have to clean it up and talk to the American people. Maybe you can do it right now.
Vice President
Oh my
Biden, you may respond.
Stay
30
straight
seconds.
here.
And then I do
I-
want to follow up on the election
I'm
security.
gonna get something straight here, you dog face ponies out there.
Any foreign source ever in my life. We learned that this president
What?
paid 50 times the tax in China, has a secret bank account with China, does business in China, and in fact is talking about me taking money. I have not taken
Thought
a
he
single
was the
penny
big
from
guy.
any country whatsoever, ever. Number one.
Wait a second.
Whatsoever, ever?
This is a president. I have released all of my tax returns. 22 years. Go look at them. 22 years of my tax returns.
$43.
You have not released a single solitary year of your tax return. What are you hiding?
He's gonna
Why
turn
are
it
you unwilling?
around on the
Foreign
tax
countries
return?
are paying you a lot. Russia's paying you a lot. China's paying you a lot. And your hotels, all your businesses all around the country, all around the world. And China's building a new road to a golf course you have overseas.
Laura, are you going to make it?
What's going on?
I feel like
I
you're
hope
about
so.
to fall off your chair.
First of all, I called my accountants under audit. I'm going to release them as soon as we can. I want to do it, and it'll show how successful, how great this company is. But much more importantly than that, people were saying $750. I asked them a week ago, I said, what did I pay? They said, sir, you prepaid tens of millions of dollars. I prepaid my tax. Tens over the last number of years. Tens of millions of dollars I prepaid. Because at some point they think it's an estimate. They think I may have to pay tax. So I already prepaid it. Nobody told me that.
Did your accountant
Nobody
tell you
told
when
you
you
that.
could release
Excuse
them?
me. And it wasn't written whenever they write this. They keep talking about
$750.
which I think is a filing fee. But let me just tell you.
Sir,
I prepaid.
stop making
millions
sense.
and
Shut up.
millions of dollars in
Well, yeah,
taxes.
because business
Number
people
one.
usually
Number two,
pay
I don't make
quarterly.
money from China. You do.
That's
I don't
one
make
thing.
money from Ukraine.
Ho,
You
ho,
do.
ho, ho,
I don't make
ho,
money
ho.
from Russia. You made $3.5 million, Joe, and your son gave you. They even have a statement that we have to give 10% to the big man. You're the big man. I think. I don't know, maybe you're not.
God, he
You're the
did.
big man, I think.
thing.
Your son said you have to give 10% to the big man. Joe, what's that all about? It's terrible.
All right, gentlemen, I want to ask you both some questions
I have
about
to
all of this,
respond to
but
that.
I'm going to let you both respond very quickly.
I have to
Spoke
respond
your
to that.
accountant about potentially releasing your taxes. Did
Joe
you
I
Big
am
Man
not a
Biden.
big guy.
the order.
I
deadline
am
for
not
when you're
that
gonna
big guy.
release
I
the
get
American
treated.
people?
I'm an average
Worse than the
Joe.
Tea Party got treated. Because
you
I have a
don't
lot
have
of
a comment.
people in there, deep down in the IRS, they treat me horribly. We made a deal, it was all settled until I decide to run for president. I get treated very badly by the IRS, very unfairly. But we had a deal all done. As soon as we're completed with the deal, I want to release it. But I have paid millions and millions of dollars, and it's worse than paying. I paid in advance. It's called prepaying your taxes. I paid in advance.
I want to ask you both about questions.
Do you know
regarding
there
your potential
there was
foreign
something that I
entanglements and
learned
questions
recently
that
about
have
living
been
in New
raised.
York
Give you both a
City?
chance
So
to
you know
talk
how
about this more
we
broadly.
pay
Respond very
state
quickly,
and
and then we'll get to
local
you.
out of our
Why didn't
or
he? He's
state
been saying
and
this for 4
federal
years.
out of our paychecks?
Show us.
They
Jeez,
pay
show us. Stop
state,
playing around. You've
federal,
been saying for 4
and
years,
city in
nobody knows
New York.
this, because what they
Sorry,
do
you
know
just said stop
is
playing
you're
around.
not
And Trump
paying
went full
your
arms
taxes,
out.
or
Like
you're
what?
paying taxes
What the
that
fuck?
are so low. When last time he said what he paid,
I'm sorry,
he
what
said,
about New York?
I only pay that little because
No,
I'm
that
smart.
in New
I know
York
how to
City
game
you
the
pay
system." Come on.
income tax to the city.
President
If
Trump,
you
and
live
I wanna
in
get
New
to
York
two
City.
questions to both of you on this.
I was put through a phony witch hunt for 3 years.
Oh,
started
he's rolling his
before I
eyes.
even got elected. They spied on my campaign. No president should ever have to go through what I went through. Let me just
No,
say
they
this.
didn't.
Mueller and 18 angry Democrats and FBI
18
agents all
angry
over the
Democrats.
place spent $48 million. They went through everything I had, including my tax returns, and they found absolutely no collusion and nothing wrong. $48 million. I guarantee you, if I spent $1 million on you, Joe, I could find plenty wrong. Because the kind of things that you've done and the kind of monies that your family has taken. I mean, your brother made money in Iraq. Millions of dollars. Your other brother made a fortune. And it's all through you, Joe. And they say you get some of it. And you do
Help
very
me,
well. You have houses
young
all over the place. You
lady.
live very well.
All right, gentlemen, let me just ask some questions about all of this broadly. Vice President Biden, there have been questions about the work your son has done in China and for the Ukrainian energy company when you were vice president. In retrospect, was anything about those relationships inappropriate or unethical?
Nothing was unethical. Here's what the deal.
Here's what the
With
deal.
regard to Ukraine, we had this whole question about whether or not, because he was on the board, I later learned of a Burisma, a company,
I
that somehow
later
I had done
learned.
something wrong.
Burisma.
And every single solitary person, when he was going through his impeachment, testifying under oath who worked for him, said, I did my job impeccably. I carried out U.S. policy. Not one single solitary thing was out of line. Not a single thing, number one. Number two, the guy who got in trouble in Ukraine was this guy trying to bribe the Ukrainian government to say something negative about me, which they would not do and did not do because it never, ever, ever happened. My son has not made money in terms of this thing about what are you talking about? China. I have not had it. The only guy made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Nobody else has made money from China.
President Trump,
Let me
ask my question to you.
But could I just one thing?
Very quickly.
His son didn't have a job for a long time. Was sadly no longer in the military service. I won't get into that. And he didn't have a job. As soon as he became vice president, Burisma, not the best reputation in the world.
He brings a
I hear they pay him
bow.
$183,000 a month. Listen to this. 183, and they gave him a $3 million upfront payment.
All right.
And he had no energy.
I'm going to let the vice president
That's
respond to that quickly, and
100%
then I need to get to a
dishonest.
question to you. Very
No
quickly.
basis for that. Nobody investigated that. No one said anything he did was wrong in Ukraine.
Okay, President Trump, this is for you. Since you took office,
You're the vice
you've never
president.
divested
How
from
the
your
fuck
business.
you?
You've personally promoted your properties abroad. A report this week, which was referenced, does indicate that your company has a bank account in China. So how can voters know that you don't have any foreign conflicts of interest?
I have many bank accounts, and they're all listed, and they're all over the place. I mean, I was a businessman doing business. The bank account you're referring to, which is everybody knows about it, it's listed. The bank account was in 2013. That's when it was. It was opened it was closed in 2015, I believe. And then I decided, because I was thinking about doing a deal in China like millions of other people. I was thinking about it, and I decided I'm not going to do it. Didn't like it. I decided not to do it. Had an account open, and I closed it.
Okay.
Excuse me. And then, unlike him, where he's vice president and he does business, I then decided to run for president after that. That was before. So I closed it before I even ran for president, let alone became president. Big difference. He is the vice president of the United States, and his son, his brother, and his other brother are getting rich. They're like a
bringing it
vacuum
up.
cleaner. They're sucking up
Okay,
money
President
every
Trump,
place
thank
he
you. We
goes.
do
Not
need to
true.
move on. I do want to ask you, Vice
Not
President Biden,
true.
about China. Let's talk about
Not
China
true.
more broadly. There have, of course, President Trump has said that they should pay for not being fully transparent in regards to the coronavirus. If you were president, would you make China pay? And please be specific. What would that look like?
What I'd make China do is play by the international rules.
I would have to pay us with
Cause
all of
deficit
the
of China
tea
to go up,
in
not
China.
with China, up, not down. We are making sure that in order to do business in China, you have to give all your intellectual property. You have to have a partner in China. It's 51%. We would not do that at all.
Or
number
10%,
one.
big guy.
Number two, we're in a situation where China would have to play by the rules internationally as well. When I met with Xi, when I was still vice president, he said we're setting up air identification zones in the South China Sea. You can't fly through them. I said we're going to fly through them. We just flew B-52, B-1 bombers through it. We're not going to pay attention.
B-52,
They
B-1
have
bombers?
to play by the rules.
Yeah.
And what's he
The
do?
B-1
He
bombers.
embraces guys
I'm not
like
familiar with that plane.
thugs like
It's like
North
a
Korea
double-decker
and
bus
the Chinese
that I
president
used
and
to
Putin
sit
and others.
on,
And he
and
pokes
then
his finger in the eye of all of our friends.
his
all of
name
our
was
allies.
Corn Pop,
We make up
and
we were
my hair
25%.
was
25%
going.
of the world's economy.
Clap, you
We
stupid
need
bastards.
to be having the rest of our friends with us saying to China, these are the
Clap
rules.
for that,
play
you
by them when
stupid
you
bastard.
don't play by them economically. That's the way I will run it, and that's what we did in upholding steel tariffs and a range of other things when we were president and vice president.
All right, let's talk about North Korea.
Excuse me, no, I have to answer that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very quickly, and then
Son
we're going to move
walked
on
out
to
with
North
$1.5 billion
Korea.
from China to
Not
manage
true.
after spending 10 minutes in
You're
office
right.
and being in.
You're supposed to be
Washington.
muted, sir.
Number one.
Stand
Number
down.
two, there's a very strong email talking about your family wanting to make $10 million a year for introductions.
President Trump, on
What?
China policy, though, what
No, but wait a
specifically are
minute.
you going to do? What specifically
Try
are
to
you
pivot.
going to do to make China pay? You've said you're going
First
to
of
make
all,
them pay.
China is paying. They're paying billions and billions of dollars. I just gave
New
$28 billion.
sanctions? New
Listen,
sanctions?
I just gave $28 billion to our farmers. because
Taxpayers'
China,
money.
It's what?
Taxpayers' money.
China paid
true.
$28 billion, and you know what they did to
There
pay
are
it? They devalued their
farmers.
currency, and they also paid up. And you know who
The
got
way
the
he
money? Our
turned his
farmers, our
fucking
big
head
farmers,
killed
those who were
me.
targeted.
Just what?
You didn't get a chance to do anything. Also, I charged them 25% on dumped steel
Tax
because they were killing our
I,
steel industry.
I mean, I know
not
we
gonna have a
can't
steel
pause,
industry.
but I get to
And now
say,
we have a
like,
steel
Okay,
industry.
when
Vice President Biden, your
our
response,
food
please.
supply
Your
is
response
in dire
This isn't about
straits,
a
or
there's a
you
reason
know
why
what,
he's
like, how do
bringing up
you
all this
like?
to
That's
the
where I
market.
want my
There's a
tax
reason for
dollars
it.
going.
He doesn't want to talk about the
You know what I mean? Like,
substantive issues.
so
Not
him
about his
saying
family or my
taxpayer
family. It's about your
money.
family. And your family's hurting
Yeah,
badly.
because he's real
If
concerned
you're
about
making
taxpayer
less than-
money.
If you're a
Go back
middle-class
to the
family,
tactic of
you're
speaking
getting
directly
hurt
to us.
badly right now. You're
I
sitting
love
at the
when
kitchen table
Biden
this morning
speaks
deciding,
directly
well, we
to
can't get
us.
new tires
He's-
or ball
he
because we have
tries
to
to
wait
seem
another
so
month or
serious.
so. Or are we going to be able to
I'm
pay the
talking
mortgage?
to
Or who's
you
going
and
to tell
your
her
family.
she
They're
can't go back
dying.
to community college? They're the decisions you're making. The middle-class families
She's
like I
going
grew up
back
in
to
Spanish
community
Trail.
college, my ass.
They're in trouble. We should be talking about your families, but that's the last thing he wants to talk about.
He's trying to
I wanna-
do the,
I
you
want
know,
to talk about
statement.
North
Excuse
Korea.
me, just
I do
wait
want
one
to
second,
turn
please.
to 10 seconds, Mr.
Yeah.
President.
That's
10
a
seconds.
typical political statement. Let's get off this China thing, and then he looks, the family around the table.
Let's talk
I'm
about
not
North
a typical
Korea.
politician.
Okay,
That's why I
President.
got elected. That
Let's
was,
talk
let's
about-
get off the subject of China. Let's talk around, sitting around the table.
All right.
Come on, Joe, you can do better.
We're going to talk about North Korea now. President Trump, you've met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
By the way, I
3
saw
times.
a
Betty
poll
knows.
recently
About your beautiful
of,
letters with him. You've
are you
touted
better
the fact
off
that there hasn't been a war or
since
a long-range
2016,
missile test,
and like
and yet
51%
North
of the
Korea
population
recently
said
rolled out
yes.
its biggest ever intercontinental ballistic missile and
What was the
continues to
poll?
develop its nuclear arsenal.
Are you better
Do
off?
see that as a
It's
betrayal
basically
of
a
the
poll of the
relationship?
population,
Just
basically
30
asking,
seconds here because we need
in
to
the
get on
last
to the
4
next.
years,
So,
has your
when I met
life
with Barack
gotten better, worse,
Obama,
or the
we sat in the
same?
White
And
House.
51% of
Right
people
at the
said
beginning, had a great
it got better.
conversation. It was supposed to be 15 minutes, and it was well over an hour.
Who all
He
was
said the biggest
polled,
problem we
like,
have with
how-
North is
like-
North Korea.
Again, I'd have to look it up, but
He
I
indicated
saw it
we
as a
will be in a
blurb.
war with North Korea. Guess what? It would be a nuclear war, and he does have plenty of nuclear capability.
I definitely
In the
felt
meantime,
better over
I have
the
a very
past
good
4 years
relationship with him.
compared to
Different kind
the
of a guy,
previous
but he
war.
probably thinks the same thing about me. We have a different kind of a relationship.
yeah, in the
We have a
past 4
very good
years, I've been able to
relationship,
swing
and
my
there's
big
no
dick
war.
around more.
And you know,
I gotta be
about
honest.
yeah.
2 months ago, he broke
Like
into
Europe,
a certain area. They said, "Oh, there's going to be trouble." I said, "No,
Canada,
they're not.
boom.
He's not going to do that." And I was
Fuck
like,
you
"Look,
guys."
Instead of being in a
Boom,
war where
boom.
millions of people, Seoul, you know, is 25 miles away, millions and millions, 32 million people in Seoul, millions of people would be
Okay.
dead right now.
President
we
Trump,
don't have
that's
a war,
30
and I have a
seconds.
good
Thank
relationship.
you. Vice President Biden, to you. North Korea conducted 4 nuclear tests under the
Okay,
Obama
thanks, President.
administration.
Okay,
Why do you think you would be able to rein in this persistent threat?
Oh, she's
Because
got
I'd make it
a
clear,
bead of
which we were
sweat
making
on her
clear to
brow.
China, they had to be part of the deal because here's the I made it clear and as a spokesperson of the administration when I went to China that they said, why are you moving your missile defense up so close? Why are you moving more forces here?
Why
are
you?
you continuing to do military maneuvers with South Korea? I said, because North Korea is a problem, and we're going to continue to do it so we can control
Americans'
them.
assessment
We're
of
gonna
their
make sure
personal
we can
situation
control them and make
comparatively
sure
better
they
than in
cannot
prior
hurt us.
presidential
And so if you
incumbent
want to do
president,
something about it, step
re-election
up and
years.
help. If not, it's going to continue. What
That's
has
where
he
the
done?
percentages
He's
come from. At
legitimized
least
North
that's according
Korea.
to Gallup.
He's talked about his good buddy.
Except
who's
my
a thug,
mental
a
health.
thug,
My
and
mental.
he talks about how we're better off.
Oh,
And
he's
they
a
have
thug
much
now.
more capable
Oh, okay.
missiles, able to reach U.S. territory much more easily than ever did before.
Let me follow up with you, Vice President Biden. You've said you wouldn't meet with Kim Jong-un without preconditions.
Are you gonna follow
Are
up
there
with
any
him right
conditions
after he
under
gets
which
the
you
he's
would
done?
meet
Yeah.
with him?
On the condition that he would agree that he would be drawing down his nuclear capacity to get the Korean Peninsula should be nuclear-free zone.
He would go, ha
All
ha
right,
ha,
let's
you
move on
old
to
man.
American
Ha ha ha, I
citizens.
don't
They tried to
care.
meet with
10
him.
seconds,
They
President.
tried to meet with
How
him.
you eat
He
a
wouldn't
shitty
do
walk.
it. He didn't like Obama.
Aren't
He
you
didn't like him.
rich?
He wouldn't do it.
Oh, I hate
gotta
that
give him a chance to
guy.
tried.
respond to that
He
before we
wouldn't
move
do
on.
it.
You
And
know,
that's
I-
okay. You know what, North Korea? We're not in a war. We have a good relationship. You know, people don't understand. Having a good
President
relationship
Trump,
with
we have
leaders
to
of
move
other
on because we
countries
have
is
a lot
a
of
good thing.
we have a lot of questions to get
Yes,
to.
not
That's
Your
like
response.
saying we had a good relationship with Hitler before he, in fact,
Oh,
invaded
sweet Jesus.
Oh, it's
Eastern Europe. Come on.
who had that
The
on their
reason we would
bingo
not meet
card?
with President Obama is because President
brought
Obama
up
said,
Hitler?
We're going to talk about
somebody twist that? Can
denuclearization.
somebody-
We're
can
not going to
somebody
legitimize you, and we're going to
take that out of
continue to put
context
stronger and stronger sanctions
say we had a
on you.
good relationship
That's
with
why
Hitler.
you
We had
wouldn't
a
meet with us.
Joe Biden. You had a
And
good
it
relationship
didn't
with
happen. Let's
Hitler.
move on and talk
He
about
left
American
me a
families.
mess, Kristen.
President Trump. Okay, we
Ooh,
do
he
need
left
to
me a
move on.
mess.
Me a mess. North Korea was a mess.
We
And in
need to
fact,
move
if
on
you
so that
remember
we
the
can get
first
to all
2 or
of
3
our
months,
questions tonight,
there was a
President
very
Trump.
dangerous period in my first 3 months before we sort of worked things out a little bit.
Okay.
There was a very, they left us a
Okay.
mess. And Obama would be, I think, the first to say it was the single biggest problem he thought that our country had.
Okay, let's move on to American families and the economy. One of the issues that's
boy.
most important to them is health care, as you both know. Today, there was a key vote on a new Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett, and health care is at the center of her confirmation fight. Over 20 million Americans get their health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. It's headed to the Supreme Court, and your administration, Mr. President, is advocating for the court to overturn it. If the Supreme Court does overturn that law, those 20 million Americans could lose their health insurance almost overnight. So what would you do if those people have their health insurance taken away? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Sure. First of all, I've already done something that nobody thought was possible. Through the legislature, I terminated the individual mandate. That is the worst part of Obamacare, as we call it. The individual mandate where you have to pay a fortune for the privilege of not having to pay for bad health insurance. I terminated. It's gone. Now it's in court because Obamacare is no good. But then I made a decision. Run it as well as you can to my people, great people. Run it as well as you can. I could have gone the other route and made everybody very unhappy. They ran it. Premiums are down. Everything's down. Here's the problem. No matter how well you run it, it's no good. What we'd like to do is terminate it. We have the individual mandate done. I don't know that it's going to work. If we don't win, we will have to run it, and we'll have Obamacare, but it'll be better run. But it no longer is Obamacare, because without the individual mandate, it's much different. Pre-existing conditions will always stay. What I would like to do is a much better health care, much better, will always protect people with pre-existing. So I'd like to terminate Obamacare, come up with a brand new, beautiful health care. The Democrats will do it because there'll be tremendous pressure on them, and we might even have the House by that time, and I think we're going to win the House, okay? You'll see, but I think we're going to win the House. But come up with a better health care, always protecting people with pre-existing conditions. And one thing very important, we have 180 million people out there that have great private health care. Far more than we're talking about with Obamacare. Joe Biden is going to terminate all of those policies. These are people that love their health care, people that have been successful, middle-income people, been successful. They have 180 million plans, 180 million people, families. Under what he wants to do, which will basically be socialized medicine, he won't even have a choice, they want to terminate 180 million plans. We have done an incredible job on health care. And we're going to do even better.
Okay.
Oh,
President
muted
Biden,
him.
yes,
Wow,
this is
cut
for
off
you.
at
Your
the
health
end.
care plan calls for building on Obamacare. So my question is, what is your plan if the law is ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
What I'm going to do is pass Obamacare with a public option. It'll become Biden care. The public option is an option that says that if you, in fact, do not have the wherewithal to be, if you qualify for Medicaid and you do not have the wherewithal in your state to get Medicaid, you automatically are enrolled, providing competition for insurance companies. That's what's going to happen. Secondly, we're going to make sure we reduce the premiums and reduce drug prices by making sure that there's competition that doesn't exist now by allowing the Medicare to negotiate drug prices with the insurance companies. Thirdly,
Oh, yeah. That
the
can't be
idea
tainted
that
at all.
I want to eliminate private insurance. The reason why I had such a fight with 20 candidates for the nomination was
My mother
I
sells
support
insurance,
private
you son of a
insurance.
bitch.
That's why I did not one single person with private insurance would lose their insurance under my plan, nor did they under Obamacare. They did not lose their insurance unless they chose they wanted to go to something else. Lastly, we're going to make sure we're in a situation that we actually protect pre-existing. There's no way he can protect pre-existing conditions. None, zero. You can't do it in the ether. He's been talking about this for a long time. He's never come up with a plan. I guess we're going to get the pre-existing condition plan the same time we get the infrastructure plan that we've been waiting since 17,
remember
18,
the
19, and 20.
infrastructure
I still have a few more minutes. I know you're
plan
anxious.
that
The fact is that
Obama
it's
had.
already cost
Remember, the
American
shovels
people
were already
because
in the
of this terrible
ground.
handling of the COVID virus and the economic spillover. 10 million people have lost their private insurance.
been 2 minutes
and
yet.
he wants
It's
to
time to
take
mute
away
him.
22 million more people
No, he
who
was
have
terribly
it on
efficient.
Obamacare, and over 110 million people with pre-existing conditions, and all the people from COVID are going to have pre-existing conditions. What are they going to do?
I have a follow-up for you, Vice President Biden. It relates to something that President
you
Trump
gonna give him a
said. He's
follow-up?
accusing you
I
of wanting
see.
socialized medicine. What do you say to people who have concerns that your
Don't
health
mute him,
care
give him
plan,
more.
which includes a government
Yeah.
insurance option, takes the country one step closer to a health care system run entirely by the government? What's
I
your
say
response
it's
to them?
ridiculous. It's like saying that, you know,
Oh, this ought to be good.
the idea that the fact that there's a public option that people can choose, that makes it a socialist plan. Look, the difference between the president, I think health care is not a privilege,
Well, you
it's a
can
right.
choose
Everyone should have
between
the
something
right
you
to
have to
have
pay out of
affordable
pocket
healthcare.
for,
And I am very proud of my plan. It's gotten endorsed
or
by
have
all the
something
major
that's
labor unions,
given
as
to
well
you through
as well as a whole
taxes.
range of other people who, in fact, are concerned in the medical
Oh,
field. This is something that's going to save people's lives, and this is going to give some people an opportunity to have health care for their children. How many of you home are worried and rolling around?
Stop
in bed
looking
tonight
at me.
wondering
Fuck
what
you.
in God's name you're going to do
You
if you
creep
get
me
sick?
out.
Because you've lost your home insurance.
No, stop.
your health
I'm not a
insurance
fan of when he does that.
My
either.
home
We have to
insurance
provide
and my
insurance for
health
people
insurance.
at an
Oh,
affordable
sorry,
rate.
Alex.
That's
What
what
were
I
you
do.
saying?
President
I'm
Trump,
just-
He was
your
there
response.
agreeing
for
with Heyman
47
when he
years.
does that
He didn't
shit where he
do it.
looks at the camera.
He was now there as vice president for 8 years, and it's not like it was 25 years ago. It was 3 3/4. It was just a little while ago, right? Less than 4 years ago. He didn't do anything. He didn't do it. He wants socialized medicine, and it's not
Hey.
that he wants it. His vice president, I mean, she is more liberal than Bernie Sanders and wants it even more. Bernie Sanders wants it. The Democrats want it. You're going to have socialized medicine, just like he went with fracking. We're not going to have fracking. We're going to stop fracking. We're going to stop fracking. Then he goes to Pennsylvania after he gets the nomination. We're not very lucky to get it. And he goes to Pennsylvania, and he says, "Oh, we're going to have fracking." And you never asked that question. And by the way, so far, I respect very much the way you handle this.
By the way,
But somebody should ask the question.
You can ask
He goes for a year. There will be
We
no
have
fracking. there
we
will
do
be
have a
no
number of
petroleum.
topics we're
No,
going to
but
get
that's a
to.
big- that's a big
and
question.
we're going to get to
The same thing with socialized
I have to
medicine.
respond.
Vice President, your response, please.
My response is people
to.
deserve to have affordable health care, period. Period, period, period. And the Biden care proposal will, in fact,
But when they
provide
are
for
on
that
their
affordable
period,
healthcare,
you
lower
can't.
premiums. What we're going to do is going to cost some money. It's going to cost over $750 billion over 10 years to do it. And they're going to have lower premiums. You can buy into the
Where
better
are you
plans,
going to get the
cheaper
money?
plans, lower your premiums.
Tax
lower
money,
your
taxpayers'
unexpected
dollar, that's
boom,
what he
and have
means.
your
I'm
drug
not.
prices
But
drop
who is the
significantly.
taxpayer?
He keeps talking about it. He hasn't done a thing for anybody
really
on
wanna
health
see
care.
him.
Not a thing.
Kristen, when
Very
he
quickly,
says,
then I want to talk
when
about
he
what's
says
happening on
public
Capitol
option,
Hill.
he's talking about socialized medicine, and when he and healthcare.
Oh,
When
come
he
on,
talks
you're
about
the
a public
worst.
option, he's talking about destroying your Medicare, totally destroyed, and destroying your Social Security, and this whole country will come down. You know, Bernie Sanders tried it in his state. He tried it in his state. His governor was a very liberal governor. They wanted to make it work.
Okay,
It
let's
was
let Vice President
impossible
Biden
to work.
respond.
It doesn't
Vice
work.
President
He's a
Biden,
very
your
confused
response.
guy. He thinks he's running against somebody else. He's running against Joe Biden. I beat all those other people because I disagreed with them. Joe Biden. was running
Right.
against. And the idea that we're in a situation that they're going to destroy Medicare, this is the guy that the actuary at Medicare said, if in fact, at Social Security, if in fact, he continues
Medicare,
to
Social
withhold
Security,
his plan to withhold
Sure,
the
it's
tax
all the
on
same.
Medicare, Social Security will be bankrupt by 2023. With no way to make up for it.
Wait a
This is the
second.
guy
I
who's
thought
tried
that
to
you
cut
guys.
Medicare. So no, I don't. I mean, the idea.
Wait,
that Donald
if
Trump
so,
is
wait a
lecturing me on
second.
Social
Remember when Newt
Security and
Gingrich
Medicare?
wanted to take
Come on.
our Social
He tried
Security
to get
funds
rid
and
of-
put
he
them in
tried
like
to hurt
a
Social Security years
private
ago. Years ago. Go back
savings
and look
account
at the
for
records.
everybody?
He tried to hurt Social Security years ago.
All
One
right,
thing,
let's move
Vaguely.
on.
This
I'm
is
going to
the
move
guy
on.
that
Let
when
me,
they
Mr.
announced
President, I have
last
to move
week,
on to the next question.
They said
or
the
else
stock
we're not
market
going to have
will
time
boom
to talk about it.
if I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
Okay, let's
biggest
move on to the
analysts are
next
saying
question
Let me respond.
very quickly.
Look, the idea that the stock
She's
market
not
is
interrupting
booming
him.
is his only measure of what's happening. Where I come from in Scranton and Claremont, the people don't live off of the stock market. Just
Oh,
in the-
sweet Jesus.
Just in the last three years during this crisis, the billionaires in this country made, according to the Wall
He was
Street,
about to say the
$700 billion
Sicilianaires.
more
Yeah.
dollars. $700
That's
billion more
a
dollars.
billionaire
Because
Sicilian.
that's his only measure.
Is it just me or is he
What
looking real
happens to the
angry?
ordinary people
He's,
out there?
yeah, his
eyebrows.
face keeps getting red.
Let's talk about what's happening on
401ks,
Capitol Hill. We're going to move on.
401ks are through the roof.
We're gonna move on.
Are through the roof.
All
And
right.
he doesn't come from Scranton. That's like he lived there for a short period of
gonna-
time before he
okay,
even knew
we're
it.
gonna move on
and
to
he
the next
left.
question.
And the people of Pennsylvania
Let me
will
move
show
on
you
to my
that.
next question,
They
gentlemen.
understand.
As of tonight, more than 12 million people are out of work, and as of tonight, 8 million more Americans have fallen into poverty, and more families are going hungry every day. Those hit hardest are women and people of color. They see Washington fighting over a relief bill. Mr. President, why haven't you been able to get them the help they need? 30 seconds here.
Because Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to approve it. I do.
But you're the president.
I do, but I still have to get. Unfortunately, that's one of the reasons I think we're going to take over the House because of her. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to approve anything because she'd love to have some victories on a date called November 3rd. Nancy Pelosi does not want to approve it. We are ready, willing, and able to do something. Don't forget, we've already approved 3 plans, and it's gone through, including the Democrats, in all fairness. This one she doesn't want. It's near the election because she thinks it helps her politically. I think it hurts her politically.
All right, Mr. Vice President,
You know, the Republican leader in the United States Senate said he can't pass it. He will not be able to pass it. He does not have Republican votes. Why isn't he talking to his Republican friends?
let me follow up with you, Vice President
we made a
Biden,
deal, the
because
Republicans
let me
will
ask
pass
Vice
it.
President Biden
Wow.
a question. You are the leader
follow
of
up
the
with you,
Democratic Party.
Vice
Why have
President.
you not pushed the Democrats to get a deal for the American people?
Well, I have, and they have pushed it. Look, they passed this act all the way back in the beginning of the summer.
No, they
This is
filled
like
up
it's
the
not
bill
new.
with a whole bunch
It's
of
been out
financial
there. This HEROES Act has been
financials for
sitting
the
there.
cities that
Look at what's happening. When I was in
I'll let
charge
the
of the
old guy
Recovery Act
talk.
with $800 billion.
for all the
I
cities
was
that
able to
allowed
get
the riots to
$145
happen,
billion
they
to
wanted
local
all this
communities.
federal
They
money
have
to
to
fix
balance their
it.
budgets.
Getting
The states
fucking
have to balance their budgets, so they have to
Yeah,
fire
he's starting to Hulk out.
firefighters, teachers, first responders.
I need
law
my
enforcement
crack.
officers, so they can keep their cities and counties running. He will not support that. They have not done a thing for them. And Mitch McConnell said, let them go bankrupt. Let them go bankrupt. Come on. What's the matter with
Actually, I
was
mean
passed
that's
in
a
the
that's a
House
good
was a
question,
bailout
Naomi. But
of
also, how come
badly
I'm not
run,
allowed to go to
high-crime,
church?
Democrat. All
Like, I
run
could
by
go to
Democrats,
GameStop,
cities
but I
and
can't go
states.
to Mass?
It was a way
Oh,
of getting a lot of money,
okay.
billions and billions of dollars to these kids. It was also a way of getting a lot of money from our people's pockets to people that come into our country illegally. We were going to take care of everything for them. And what that does, and I'd love to do that, I'd love to help them, but what that does, everybody all over the world will start pouring into our country. We can't do it. This was a way of taking care of them. This was a way of spending on things that had nothing
Danny
to do
says
with
he
COVID.
loves
as
Yankee
per your
politics. It's
question.
great
But it
entertainment.
was really a big bailout.
If you
for
say
I like
so.
watching. I
Democrat
like watching
cities and
Parliament.
All right,
By
I
the way,
wanna-
if I get elected, I'm running as a proud Democrat, but I'm going to be an American president. I don't see red states and blue states.
I'm
What I
American,
see is
yeah,
America,
right.
the
Well, this
United
was
States.
America.
And folks,
This is a democracy.
Every single state
Yeah.
out there
I'm gonna
finds
be like
themselves in
Bill
trouble.
Pullman.
They're going to start laying off, whether they're red or
American
blue.
president.
Cops,
Today is our
firefighters, first
independence-
responders, because
Independence-
teachers, because they
Independence
don't
Day.
balance their budget, and the
There was a
founders
movie
want it.
called-
They allow the federal
Patriotic.
government to
I really
deficit
love
spend to
it.
compensate for the
He looks
United
right at the
States of
camera and he
America.
starts
I want to talk
stuttering
about
and
the
shit.
minimum wage, gentlemen. Mr.
Well,
Vice
they-
President,
Families at
we are
home.
talking a lot about struggling small
patriot,
businesses
motherfucker.
and business
Oh,
owners
maybe
these
it was
days.
it was
Do you
American
think this
president.
is
I
the
think
right
it was
time
with
to
Warren
ask them to
Beatty
raise the
and
minimum wage? You, of course, support a $15
some
federal
blonde
minimum
leg
wage.
Baby.
hairs
I
and
think one of the
roaches.
things we're going to have to do is
Put
we're
it
gonna
on my
have to bail them out,
lap.
too. We should be bailing them out now, those small businesses. You got 1 in 6 of them going under. They're not
Yes,
because
'cause you wanna shut everything down, you goof.
A package that allows us to be able to call PPP. Money is supposed to go to help you do everything from
PP.
how they can
Oh
deal
no,
with
the
their
other
business
P
being
is
open
running down
safely.
my leg. I'm
Schools, how
sorry,
they
Alex.
can
I
make
keep cutting you
classrooms
off.
smaller,
but-
how they can hire more teachers, how they can put ventilation
We're
systems
cutting
in.
off, I was done.
They need
Oh.
the help. The businesses as well as the schools need the help. But these guys will not help them.
Why do the
Not
schools
giving
need
them
it? They're
any
not
money.
in
We are gonna
fucking
move on to
class
the next
now.
one. But
Like
I
I
wanna
got
say
a
we have to
$400
by raising the minimum wage. That's
addition
not helping.
to
I
my
think it should
taxes
be a
that are
state
already
option.
increasing this
Alabama
year.
is different than New York.
$400
New York
fucking
is
dollars
different
on my
from
property
Vermont.
taxes.
Every state
None of
is
the
different.
schools are
It should be
fucking
a state
open.
option.
You said very
we have to
recently-
help. It's very important. We have to help our small businesses.
You
How
said-
are you helping your small businesses when you're forcing wages? What's going to happen, and what's been proven to happen, is when you do that, these small businesses fire many of their employees.
You said
Not
very
true,
recently you would
by the way.
consider raising the
Not
federal minimum wage to
true.
$15
Say
an
it.
hour. You said recently you would consider raising the federal minimum wage to
What I
$15 an hour.
really
Is that
like,
still the case?
and I would consider it to an extent, but
In a
what I
second
really
administration?
like, in a second administration, but not to a level that's going to put all these businesses out of business. It should be a state option. Look, I've lived in different
Oh
places.
my God,
I
he
know
said
different
states'
places.
rights.
They're all
I'm about to
Yeah,
nut
I
my
know.
pants.
Some places, $15 is not so bad. In other places, other states, $15 would be
Okay, President
ruinous.
Trump, thank you. Quick
No
response,
one
Vice
should
President
work
Biden.
2 jobs.
Biden?
1 job. Be below
A
poverty.
blowjob.
People are making $6, $7, $8 an hour. These first responders, we all clap for as they come down the street because they've allowed us to make it. What's happening? They deserve a minimum wage of $15. Anything below that puts you below the poverty level. And there is no evidence that when you raise the minimum wage, businesses go out of business. That is simply not
I was
true.
out
We're
of
going
work.
to talk about
No soul.
immigration. We're going to talk about immigration now, gentlemen.
Oh, good.
And we're going to talk about families within this context. Mr. President, your administration separated children from their parents at the border,
Families.
at least 4,000 kids. You've since reversed your zero-tolerance policy, but the United States can't locate the parents of more than 500 children. So how will these families ever be reunited?
Children are brought here by coyotes and lots of bad people, cartels, and they're brought here, and they used to use them to get into our country. We now have as strong a border as we've ever had. We're over 400 miles of brand new wall. You see the numbers, and we
Big,
let people
beautiful
in, but they
wall.
have to come in legally, and they come in through
But
merit.
how will you
But
reunite
let me
these
just tell
kids
you,
with their
Let me just
families,
tell you,
Mr.
they
President?
built cages.
What does
You
that
know,
have to
they
do with
used
the
to
price
say,
tea in
"I built
China,
the
ma'am?"
cages." And then they had a
Yeah.
picture in a certain newspaper, and it was a picture of these horrible cages.
Oh my God, Biden's falling asleep.
No, he's embracing himself.
In 2014, that was him.
Do you
They
have a
built
plan to
cages.
reunite the kids
Yes,
with
we're
their
working
Mr.
on
Vice
it
President, are you
we're-
awake?
We're trying very hard, but a lot of these kids
Yeah.
come out without the parents. They come over
Exactly,
through cartels
as
and through
Naomi
coyotes
said.
and through gangs.
Vice President
Yeah.
Biden, let me bring you into this
525
conversation. Quick response and then another question.
These
Right.
500 plus kids came with parents. They separated them at the border to make it a disincentive to come to begin with. Real
What?
tough. We're really strong. And guess what?
Huh?
They cannot, it's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with them. They got separated from
So their parents brought them
And
in
it makes us
illegally.
a laughing stock and violates every notion of who we are as a nation.
What?
Let me ask you a follow-up
Since
question.
they did it, we changed the policy.
Your response
they
to
did
that?
It, we changed.
did not
They built the
separate the
cages.
they-
Who built the cages, Joe?
Let's talk about what
Who
we're
built the
talking
cages,
about. Let's
Joe?
talk about what we're talking about. What happened? Parents were ripped. Their kids were ripped from their arms and separated.
Parents were ripped?
And now they cannot
for
find
them.
over 500
They were ripped from
sets of those parents,
arms.
and those kids are alone, nowhere to go.
You know, if my kid was taken by a
criminal.
government,
It's
and
criminal.
Let me ask
I'd
you
probably
about
be
it.
up against the
We've
fence
reporters,
wherever the
everything.
border police
They are
were,
so well taken
asking
care
for
of.
my kids
They're in
back
facilities that were so clean.
every single
of you
fucking
have
day
a
until I got it
Just
back.
Ask one
Like,
question.
hi, I'm
Who
here.
built the cages?
That's my
I'd love you to
kid.
ask him that. Who built the cages?
Let me ask about your immigration policy, Mr. Vice President. The Obama administration did fail to deliver immigration reform, which had been a key promise during the administration. It also presided over record deportations as well as family detentions at the border before changing course.
Yeah.
So why should voters trust you with an immigration overhaul now?
Because we made a mistake. It took too long to get it right. It took too long to get it right.
What?
I'll be president of the United States, not vice president of the United States.
Oh.
God
damn it.
Ooh, you just buried Obama.
In 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for
He just
over
had 8 years
11
as
million
president,
undocumented people.
and then
And
he
all
just had
of those
47
so-called
years.
dreamers,
Of,
those DACA kids,
Yep.
they're going to be immediately certified.
oh, is he going to
again
show
be able to
something?
stay
What
in
did he
this
have in his
country
hand?
And put on a path to citizenship. The idea that they are being sent home by this guy, and they want to do that, is they've gone to a country they've never seen before. I can imagine you're 5 years old, your parents are taking you across the Rio Grande River, and it's
and breaking the law.
you say, oh, no,
Breaking
Mom,
the
leave me
law.
here. I'm not going to go.
Breaking the law.
Then
Dun, dun,
remember,
dun.
model citizens, over 20,000 of them are first responders out there taking
What?
care of people during this crisis. We owe them. We owe them.
What?
President
Kristen,
Trump,
he
your
had
reaction.
8 years to do what he said he was going to do. And I've changed without having a specific. We got rid of catch and release. We got rid of a lot of horrible things that they put in and that they lived with. But he had 8 years he was vice president. He did nothing except build cages to keep children in.
Vice President Biden, your response.
The catch and release, you know what he's talking about there? If in fact you had a family came across and they were arrested, they in fact were given a date to show up for their hearing. They were released. And guess what? They showed up for a hearing.
Did they?
This is the first president in the history of the United States of America that anybody seeking asylum has to do it in another country. That's never happened before in America. That's never happened before in America. You come to the United States and you make your case that I seek asylum based on the following premise, why I deserve it under American law. They're sitting in squalor on the other side of the river.
President Trump, your response,
So
30
important.
seconds, and then we'll move
It
on.
just shows that he has no understanding of immigration or the laws. Catch and release is a disaster. A murderer would come in, a rapist would come in, a very bad person would come in. We would take their name. We have to release them into our country. And then you say they come back. Less than 1% of the people come back. We have to send ICE out and Border Patrol out to find them. We would say, come back in 2 years, 3 years. We're going to give you a court case. You need Perry Mason. We're going to give you a court case. When you say they come back, they don't come back, Joe. They never come back. Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ, they might come back.
Okay, President Trump,
Very,
let's
very
give
few.
Vice President Biden a chance to respond, and then we're going to move on to the
You don't
next
know the
section.
law.
Oh, man.
Vice President Biden, your response.
Know the law, what he's telling you is simply not true.
Well, check
Check
it
it
out.
out.
They don't come back.
Check it out.
All right.
They
let's
both
move
say
on to
check
the
it
next
out.
They
section.
terminated it, so we don't have to worry about
Let's
it
move
anymore.
on to the next
And you have
section.
525 kids not knowing where in God's name they're going to be and lost their parents.
Go ahead.
All right. Let's talk about our next section, which is race in America.
Oh,
And I want to talk about the way Black and Brown Americans
NASCAR?
experience race in this
Oh.
country. Part of that experience is something called the talk. It happens regardless of class and income. Parents who feel they have no choice but to prepare their children for the chance that they could be targeted, including by the police, for no reason other than the color of their skin. Mr. Vice President, in the
that
next
doesn't
2
bring
Everybody
minutes,
gets
I
that.
want you to speak directly to
Yeah.
these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for
I
their
feel
children?
that every day,
I do.
dude.
I do.
I
My
had a
daughter
talk
is
like
a social
that
worker,
numerous
and,
times.
She's written a lot about this. She has a graduate degree from the University of Pennsylvania in social work. And you know, one of the reasons why I ended up working on the east side of Wilmington, Delaware, which is 90% African American, was to learn more about what was
90%.
going on. What I never had to tell my daughter, if she's
That's
pulled
straight
over,
to bring up.
make sure she puts for a traffic stop, put both hands on top of the wheel, and don't reach for the glove
My dad
box
taught
because
me
someone
that.
may shoot
What do
you.
you mean? You
But a
absolutely
black
do that so
parent,
the cops
no
know you're
matter
on the
how
up and up.
wealthy or how poor they are,
Yeah.
has to teach their child.
And I'm not
when
saying
walking
that
down
to
the
be,
street,
you know,
No.
combative.
walking
I was
across
really
the
taught
street,
this.
making sure that you, in fact, if you get pulled over, yes, sir, no, sir, hands on top of the wheel.
That's
because
what I
you
was
are,
taught.
in
Fuck
fact,
you.
a victim, whether you're
My
That's
mom
just
taught
common
me that.
sense. You don't fuck with the cops.
$300,000 a year person.
You don't give
or
them a
someone who's
reason.
on food stamps.
Be real
The
polite
fact
to
of the
the
matter
police
is, there
and always
is
show 'em your hands.
institutional racism. in
And then
America.
when they ask,
And
yeah,
we have
or
always
you
said,
offer the
we've never
information,
lived
yes,
up to
I
it.
have
We
a
hold
gun in
these
the
truths to
car.
be
Here's
self-evident.
where it
All
is.
men and women are created equal. But guess what? We have never, ever lived up to it. But we've always constantly been moving the needle further and further to inclusion, not exclusion.
is this why
This is the
people
first
get in
president
trouble
to
with
come
the
along
police?
and
People
says
just
that's
weren't
the end of
taught
that.
proper
We're not going to
etiquette?
do that anymore.
I
Probably.
We have to provide for economic
I
opportunity,
remember
better
like
education,
being out with
better
my friends
healthcare,
and like
better
meeting up
access
with
to
other kids that
schooling,
I didn't really
better
know.
access to
And then like the cops
opportunity
would
to
like
borrow
come
money
by
and start businesses.
and
all the things
you
we
know,
can do, and we've laid out a
tell
clear
us to
plan
break it
as to
up or
how to
whatever.
do those things,
And
just to give people a
my
shot.
friends and I,
It's
we were
about
always super
accumulating the
respectful and
ability
like
to have
we'd leave or
wealth as
whatever.
well
And then
as
you'd
it
always
is
have the
to
one
be
kid who
free
would want to
from
start up and
violence.
like mouth off and all that
President
other
Trump,
shit and
same
get everybody
question
else
to
in
you. Let me
trouble.
remind you of the question.
Like,
I would like you to speak
so I don't think they
directly
were
to these
taught
families.
how
Do
to
you
like
understand why these parents fear for
whatever.
their children?
Yes, I
All right,
do.
I'm still listening,
And
but I got to go
again,
piss, so
he's
hold
been
on
in
before.
government 47
Oh,
years.
boy.
He never did a thing except in 1994 when he did such harm to the black community. And they were called, and he called them super predators. And he said that. He said it, super predators. And they have never lived that down. 1994, your crime bill, the super predators. Nobody has done more for the black community than Donald Trump. And if you look, with the exception
Well,
of
Behemoth
Abraham
has it
Lincoln,
right.
possible exception,
Are they
with
going
the
to ask him
exception
to
of
denounce
Abraham Lincoln,
white supremacy
nobody has
again?
done what I've done. Criminal justice reform, Obama and Joe didn't do it. I don't even think they tried because they had no chance at doing it. They might have wanted to do it, but if you had to see the arms I had to twist to get that done, it was not a pretty picture, and everybody knows it, including some very liberal people that cried in my office. They cried in the Oval Office. 2 weeks later, they're out saying, gee, we have to defeat him. Criminal justice reform, prison reform, opportunity zones with Tim Scott, a great senator from South Carolina. He came in with this incredible idea for opportunity zones. It's one of the most successful programs. People don't talk about it. Tremendous investment is being made. Biggest beneficiary, the black and Hispanic communities, and then historically black colleges and universities. After 3 years of coming to the office, I love some of those guys. They were great. They came into the office and they said, I said, what are you doing? After 3 years, I said, why do you keep coming back? Because we have no funding. I said, you don't have to come back every year. We have to come back because President Obama would never give them long-term funding, and I did. 10-year long-term funding, and I gave them more money than they asked for because they said, I think you need more. And I said, the only bad part about this is I may never see you again because I got very friendly with them, and they like me and I like them. But I saved historically black colleges and universities.
Okay, and we're going to talk about both of your
They
records.
muted him before he said historically black.
I
he
never,
comes
ever
up.
said.
Wow.
He accused me of saying. The fact of the matter is, in 2000, though, after the crime bill had been in the law for a while, this is the guy who said, the problem with the crime bill, there's not enough people in jail. There's not enough people in jail. And go on my website, get the quote, the date when he said it. Not enough people. He talked about marauding gangs, young gangs, and the people who are going to maraud our cities. This is a guy who in the Central Park five innocent black kids, he continued to push for making sure that they got the death penalty. None of them were guilty of the crimes they were suggested. Look, and talk about
crimes they were suggested.
Granted, he did
The rape and murder of a woman who was jogging?
People sentences. We commuted over 1,000 people's sentences.
Or was it the
Over
violent
1,000.
rape?
The very
and
law
they
he's
might have
talking
killed her,
about is a
but-
law that, in fact, initiated by Barack Obama. And secondly, we're in a situation here where the federal prison system was reduced by 38,000 people under our administration. And one of these things we should be doing, there should be no minimum mandatories in the law. That's why I'm offering $20 billion to states to change their state laws to eliminate minimum mandatories and set up drug courts. No one should be going to jail because they have a drug problem. They should be going to rehabilitation, not to jail. We should fundamentally change the system, and that's what I'm going to do.
Why didn't he do it 4 years ago? Why didn't you do that 4 years ago, even less than that? Why didn't you do it? You were vice president. You keep talking about all these things you're going to do and you're going to do this, but you were there just a short time ago. You guys did nothing.
We did.
Joe, I ran because of you. I ran because of Barack Obama, because you did a poor job. If I thought you did a good job, I would have never run. I would have never run. I ran because of you. I'm looking at you now. You're a politician. I ran because of you.
All right, Vice President Biden, your response to that, and then
Wow.
we'll have some questions.
Well, I tell you what, I hope he does look at me, because what's happening here is, you know who I am, you know who he is, you know his character, you know my character.
Oh, we're going
you know
character.
Our reputations for honor and telling the truth. I am anxious to have this race. I am anxious to see this take place.
Are you? Because you've been putting a lid on it every other
week. The country
week.
is on the ballot. Our character is on the ballot. Look at us closely.
Let me ask some follow-up.
Excuse me.
Please respond, and then we're going to have
If this
follow-up
stuff is true
questions.
about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq, if this is true, then he's a corrupt politician.
All right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody-
Take a look
President
at the
Trump, I
laptop
want to
from
stay
hell.
on the issue of
Excuse me,
race. We're
take
talking
look at
about
the
the issue
laptop
of
from
race.
hell?
President Trump,
Nobody.
we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the
Yeah,
issue
I
of race.
bet.
President
I
Trump,
bet.
Yeah, I
have to
bet you do.
respond to that, because look,
Very
there
quickly.
are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop
Giuliani.
is now another Russia hoax?
And
You
that's
gotta
exactly
be.
what.
Is this
that's
where you're
Oh,
going?
my
exactly what
God.
This
is
is where he's going. The laptop is Russia,
Yes.
Gentlemen,
Russia?
I want to stay on the issue of race.
You
okay?
have to be kidding. Here we
Mr.
go
President,
again with Russia.
We're going to continue on the issue of race. Mr. President, you've described the Black Lives Matter movement as a symbol of hate. You've shared a video of a man chanting
Here he
white
goes.
power to millions
They're
of
gonna-
your supporters.
Oh,
You've said
my
that
God.
Black professional
Yes, to
athletes
denounce it.
exercising their First Amendment rights should be fired. What do you say to Americans who say that kind of language from a president is contributing to a climate of hate and racial strife?
Well, you have to understand, the first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, they were chanting pigs in a blanket, talking about police. Pigs, talking about our police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. I said, that's a horrible thing. And they were marching down the street. And that was my first glimpse of Black Lives Matter. I thought it was a terrible thing. As far as
Yeah.
my relationships with all people, I think I have great relationships with all people. I am the least racist person in this room.
Well, what do you say to Americans who are concerned by that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say. I got
Fucking
criminal justice
legend.
reform done, and prison reform, and
I'm the
opportunity
least
zones. I
racist
took care
person
of
in
black
this room.
colleges and universities.
Fuck
I don't know
everyone
what to
here.
say. They can say anything.
Rest of you are a
I
bunch
mean,
of
They
bigots.
can say anything.
No, how
It's
bad
very-
if we have
makes
the
me sad.
camera panned on the
Because I am-
audience and
I am the
all these
least
black-
racist person. I can't even see the audience because it's so dark. But I don't care who's in the audience. I'm the least racist person in this room.
Okay, Vice President, let me ask you very quickly another follow-up question.
Oh my
One
God.
of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history.
Oh, Jesus.
He pours
Buys
fuel
into
on
it.
every single racist
Oh,
fire.
God.
Every single
Oh,
one.
beautiful.
Started off his campaign coming down the escalator saying he's going to get rid of those Mexican rapists. He's banned Muslims because they're Muslims. He has moved
Oh,
around
my God.
and made everything worse across the board. He says about the poor boys. Last time we were on stage,
Poor
he said, I
boys?
told him to stand down.
The poor
and stand
boys?
up.
Sandwiches? Sandwiches?
Dog whistle about as big as a foghorn.
President
Cajun
Trump,
sandwiches
whistle?
are coming to get you. Burgers are far.
Abraham Lincoln. Where did that come in? I mean,
You said
where
you're
did that-
Abraham
No,
Lincoln.
where did that? No.
You said-
I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the black community.
And
I
I'm
didn't
saying-
say I'm Abraham Lincoln. I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the
He
black
says that all the
Now,
time, too.
you have done nothing other than the crime bill, which put
Oh, God.
tens of thousands of black men, mostly, in jail.
All right, let me-
And you know
let me
what?
a- let me
they
ask
remember
Vice
it
President
because if you
Biden
look
a
at what's
question.
happening with the voting right now,
Let me ask
they
Vice
remember
President
that
Biden
you treated them
about-
very, very badly.
The-
Just
the-
take a look
Yeah.
at what's happening out there.
Vice President Biden, let me give you a chance to respond within this Congress. Crime bills that you supported in the 80s and 90s contributed to the incarceration of tens of thousands of young black
like
men
big-time
who had
wrestling.
small amounts of drugs in their possession. They are sons, they are brothers, they're fathers, they're uncles, whose families are still to this day, some of them suffering the consequences. So speak to those families. Why should they vote for you?
One of the things is that in the 80s, we passed 100%, all 100 senators voted for it, a bill on drugs and how to deal with drugs. It was a mistake.
Oh, he's
I've been
deflecting
trying
it.
to change
Yeah.
Oh,
this
it was a
since then, particularly
mistake.
the portion on cocaine. That's why I've been
I
arguing
made a
that,
whoopsie.
in fact, we should not send anyone to jail for
But he's been
a
in-
pure drug offense. They should be going into treatment across
Laura,
the
he
board.
needed 47
That's
years to
what we
figure
should
it
be
out.
Spending money.
He's
That's
got
why
it
I set
now.
up drug
In
courts,
8
which are
years,
never
and
funded by
8 of those
Republicans.
It's the
47
second
years.
most
They
powerful
should
man in the
not
world.
be going to jail
Right.
for a drug or an alcohol problem. They should be going into
I hope he gets
treatment.
corn pop
Treatment.
on.
That's what we've been trying to do. That's what I'm going to get done because I think.
Yeah.
maybe
Oh, that would have been
people
great.
have
Oh, yeah,
now
Donald, you're the
seen
least
that,
racist
in fact,
person.
it was a
Corn Pop,
mistake
get up
to
here.
pass those laws related to drugs, but they were not in the crime bill.
And I
But
just
why
started
didn't he
swinging
get it
my
done?
chain at
It's
him.
all talk, no action with these
Said,
politicians.
"Hey, Esther."
Why didn't he get it done? That's what I'm going to do when I become president.
Now clap for that,
you
you
were vice
stupid
president
bastards.
along with Obama as your president, your leader, for 8 years. Why
You
didn't you get it
stupid
done?
racist
You had 8 years
bastards.
to get it done. Now you're saying you're going to get it done because you're all talk and no action, Joe.
We got a
Your
lot of
response.
it done. We released
didn't get
38,000. We
anything
got
done.
38,000 prisoners left from the.
You got nothing done.
38,000 prisoners were released from federal prison. There were over 1,000
I
people who
wasn't
were
sure
given
this was
clemency.
going to be as
We have
entertaining
in
as
fact,
the first
we're
one.
the ones
Oh,
who put in
it's-
the legislation
it's coming
saying
around.
we could look at pattern and practice of police departments and what they were
The
doing,
format's
how
a
they were
little bit more
conducting
calm,
themselves.
but
I could go
damn,
on,
there's been
but
some
we
good
began the
life.
process. We began the process. We lost an election. That's why I'm running to win back that election and change his terrible policy.
I
Quick
just
response,
asked,
and then we're
I
gonna
just
move
asked
on
one
to climate
question.
change.
Why didn't you do it in the
Climate
8
change?
years, a short time ago? Why didn't you do it? You just said, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. You put tens of thousands of mostly black young men in prison. Now you're saying you're going to undo that. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years with Obama. You know why,
Because-
Joe? Because you're all talk and no action.
All right, Vice President Biden,
He's
and then
doing
we're
it.
going to
He's
move on to the
he's
next
just
section.
he's.
We had a Republican Congress.
Oh my God. Oh, that's wow.
Hear the silence so loud.
Wow.
All right.
You got to talk them into it.
We're going to move on to our next section.
I
which
did with
is
criminal
climate
justice
change.
reform. I had
Okay.
to talk Democrats into it.
Gentlemen,
You did what we've
we're running out of
already done.
time, so we got to get on to climate change.
Wow.
You both
He
have
whispered
very
to him.
different
Did you
views
see
on
that
climate
shit?
change.
Yeah,
President
yeah.
Trump, you say that environmental regulations have
Wow.
hurt jobs in the energy sector. Vice President Biden, you have said you see addressing climate
Biden just
change
saying,
as an opportunity
like,
to create
look,
He
new jobs.
deflected.
Each
President
of
is
you,
useless
how would
if
you
we
both
don't
combat
have-
climate change
Yeah.
and support
Our
job growth
job
at
is
the same
completely
time?
worthless.
Starting with you, President Trump.
It's all
You have
about
2
the
minutes
government
uninterrupted.
with us.
So we have the
It's
Tree
not
Big
about
Trees
red
program.
America
We
or
have so
blue
many different
America.
programs. I do love the
Oh,
environment.
purple
What I want
America.
is the cleanest, crystal clear water, the cleanest air. We have the best, lowest number in carbon emissions, which is a big standard that I notice Obama goes with all the time. Not Joe. I haven't heard Joe use the term because I'm not sure he knows what it represents or means, but I have heard Obama use it. And we have the best carbon emission numbers that we've had in 35
He's
years
merciless.
under this administration.
Do you know what I don't
We
think they're
are
gonna have that
working so
press
well with
dinner
industry,
this
but
year.
here's what we can't do.
You don't think so?
Look at China.
Yeah.
How filthy it is. Look at Russia. Look at India. It's filthy. The air is filthy. The Paris Accord, I took us out because we were going to have to spend trillions of dollars, and we were treated very unfairly. When they put us in there, they did us a great disservice. They were going to take away our businesses. I will not sacrifice tens of millions of jobs, thousands and thousands of companies because of the Paris Accord.
Mike Tyson
It was
versus
so
Ricky
unfair.
Berwick.
China doesn't kick in until 2030. Russia goes back to a low standard, and we kicked in right away. It would have destroyed our businesses. So, you ready? We have done an incredible job environmentally.
Tito
We
does
have the
so
cleanest
over
air,
his
the cleanest
face.
water,
And
the
Mike
best
Tyson
carbon
just
emission
keeps-
standards that we've seen in many, many years.
Vice President
We
Biden.
haven't destroyed our industries.
Eric and I are
Vice
dying
President
right
Biden, 2
now.
minutes to you.
I imagine.
Climate change, climate warming, global warming is the next
Is
essential.
Biden going to
climate.
take his shirt off and lick?
We have a moral obligation
Yeah,
to do
we're
with
gonna-
it. And we're told by
I-
all the
I'm
leading
the
scientists
least
in the
racist
world,
person
we
in
don't
this
have
room.
much time.
He's gonna
We're
take an
pass the point
Oreo
of no
cookie.
return within the next 8 to 10 years.
Yeah, get a big
4
package
years
of
this
Reese's.
man eliminating all the regulations that were put in by us to clean up the climate, to clean up, to limit the limit of emissions, will put us in a position where we're going to be in real trouble.
Keeps popping his
Here's where we
peas.
have
That's
a great
unprofessional.
opportunity. I was able to get both all the
Everybody pop
environmental
their
organizations
peas like
as well
this.
as labor,
Don't
people
stop,
worried
don't
about
push,
jobs,
no
to
piss.
support my climate plan.
It fucks me
Because
up
what it
that
does,
Joe-
it will
Joe can
create
still-
millions
he
of
wants
new
to say
good-paying
things,
jobs.
but his mouth
We're going
just
to
betrays
invest
him.
in, for example,
Yeah.
500,000.
He's like, I know what I want to say, damn it.
50,000
Come on,
charging
mouth.
stations, on our highways so that we can own the electric
I
car
mean,
market
he
in the
stopped
future.
slurring.
Oh, no,
And
not the
China is
fucking
doing
electric
that.
car
We're going to be
thing.
in a
God
position
damn
where
it.
we're going to see to it that we're
You
going
remember
to take
that?
4 million
I'm the
existing
electric car.
buildings and 2
I
million
can't
existing
drive
homes
very
and retrofit
fast,
them so they
and
don't
I
leak as
can't
much energy,
drive very
saving
far.
hundreds of millions of
And
barrels
if
of
you
oil
drive
in the
me,
process,
people
and
will
creating
think you're
significant number
gay.
of jobs.
One
And
of
by the
us.
way, the whole
One of
idea
us.
of
You remember
what this
that?
is all going to do, it's going
Vaguely.
to create millions of jobs, and it's going to clean the environment. Our health
Okay, but
and
you
our
can call
jobs
bullshit
are
on
at
this
stake.
if you want.
That's what's happening.
But I'm pretty
And
sure
what-
it's
right
been
now, by the
proven
way,
that
Wall
you
Street
have to
firms
drive the
indicate
electric
that
car
my
for like
plan-
100,000
my plan will,
miles
in fact,
to
create
finally get it to pay off and
18.6
reduce
million
emissions
jobs,
because of how much
7
emission
million
is
more than
created
his.
when they
This is
create the
from Wall
battery
Street.
for the car.
And I'll create
By
$1
the
trillion
time
more in economic
buy
growth
another
than
car.
his proposal does. Not on climate, just on the economy.
I mean, because I drive my cars for a
Today
really
came
long
out
time.
and said very strongly,
Mm-hmm.
$6,500
So,
will be
100,000
taken away
miles.
from families under his plan. That his plan is an economic disaster.
What?
If you
I
look at
never
he wants to
remember
do,
saying
if
that.
you look at his plan,
Nothing
his
to do with
environmental
climate.
plan, you know who developed it? AOC plus 3. They know
Woo!
nothing about the climate.
No,
I
she
mean, she's
did
got a
it.
good line
I
of
don't
stuff,
know
but she knows
who did.
nothing about the climate. And they're all hopping through hoops for AOC plus 3. Look,
AOC
their real
plus
plan
3.
costs
All
$100 trillion. If we had the best year in the history of our country for 100 years, we would not even come close to a number like that. When he says buildings, they want to take buildings down because they want to make bigger windows into smaller windows. As far as they're concerned, if you had no window, it would be a lovely thing. This is the craziest plan that anybody has ever seen. And this wasn't done by smart people. This wasn't done by anybody. Frankly, I don't even know how it can be good politically. They want to spend $100 trillion. That's their real number. He's trying to say it was 6. It's $100 trillion. They want to knock down buildings. And
He didn't
build new
mute
buildings
his
with
microphone
little,
for his
tiny,
laugh.
small windows. I mean, and many other things.
Okay.
And many other things.
Let me have the Vice President
It
respond,
is
and we're running out of
crazy.
time, and we have a lot
And
more
you'll
questions to
destroy
get
our
to. So
country.
let's hear from the Vice President. I have a number more questions.
I don't know where he comes from. I don't know where he comes up with these numbers.
Queens.
$100 trillion. Give me a break.
you say
This
Queens?
plan was
Yeah.
this plan
I
was
missed
endorsed by
that.
every major environmental group and every labor group. Labor, because they know the future lies. The future lies in us being able to breathe, and they know there are good jobs in getting us there. And by the way, the fastest growing industry in America is the electric,
How come-
solar energy and wind. He thinks wind causes cancer, windmills. It's the fastest growing jobs. And they
It looks
pay
like Joe
good
Biden's
prevailing
nose is
wages,
gonna. It's
45,
not like a
50
part of
bucks
his
an hour.
face.
We can
It's
grow
independent of
and
him.
we can be cleaner if we
It's
go the route I'm
purple.
proposing.
President Trump,
Excuse me.
please
We are
respond, and then I
energy-
have some
We are
follow-ups.
energy independent for the first time. We don't need all of these countries that we had to fight war over because we needed their energy. We are energy independent. I know more about wind than you do. It's extremely expensive, kills all the birds, it's very intermittent, it's got a lot of problems, and they happen to make the windmills in both Germany and China. And the fumes coming up, if you're a believer in carbon emission, the fumes coming up to make these massive windmills is more than anything that we're talking about with natural gas, which is very clean. One other thing.
Find me a scientist
Solar.
that said that.
I love solar, but solar doesn't quite have it yet. It's not powerful yet to really run our big, beautiful factories that we need to compete with the world. So
False.
it's all a pipe dream. But you know what we'll do? We're going to have the greatest economy in the world. But if you want to kill the economy, get rid of your oil industry. You want, and what about fracking?
All right,
Now-
let me
now we
let
have
me
to
have
ask
let
him
me
about
allow
fracking.
Vice President
I
Biden to respond.
never said I oppose fracking.
You said it on tape.
I did show the tape. Put it on your website.
I'll put it on.
Put it on the website. The fact of the matter is
Show
he's
the list.
flat lying.
I'm sure that's not.
I do rule out ban fracking because the answer we need other
By the way, Gollum, yes, I'm
industries
aware of the
to
squad.
transition to
Thank
get
you.
to ultimately a complete zero emissions by 2025. What I will do with fracking over time is make sure that we can capture the emissions from the fracking, capture the emissions from gas. We can do that, and we can do that by investing money in doing it. But it's a transition to that.
I have one more question in this pod, and then
Excuse
we
me,
have.
he was against fracking. He said it. I will show that to you tomorrow. I am against fracking. Until he got the nomination, went to Pennsylvania, then he said, but you know what, Pennsylvania? He'll be against it very soon because his party is totally against it.
Fracking on federal land, I said. No fracking and/or oil on federal land.
Let me ask this final question in this section, and then I want to move on to our final section.
Oh,
President
thank
Trump,
God.
people of color are much more likely to live near oil refineries and chemical plants. In Texas, there are families who worry the plants near them are making them sick. Your administration has rolled back regulations on these kinds of facilities. Why should these families give you another 4 years in office?
The families that we're talking about are employed heavily, and they're making a lot of money, more money than they've ever made. If you look at the kind of numbers that we produce for Hispanic, for Black, for Asian, it's 9 times greater, the percentage gain, than it was under, in 3 years, than it was under 8 years of the 2 of them, to put it nicely. 9 times more. Now, somebody lives, I have not heard the numbers or the statistics that you're saying, but they're making a tremendous amount of money economically. We saved it, and I saved it again a number of months ago when oil was crashing because of the pandemic.
Okay.
We saved it. We got, say what you want about relationship, we got Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Russia to cut back, way back. We saved our oil industry, and now it's very vibrant again.
All
And
right.
everybody has very inexpensive
What are they
gasoline.
doing to the
Vice
camera
President
on
Biden,
Trump's
your
face?
response, and then we're going to have a
Are they
final
like
question
tweaking
from
the?
My response
hue?
is that those people live
No,
near
not
what
the
they call fence
hue.
lines. She doesn't understand
What's
this.
it called?
They live near chemical
Sharpness.
plants that in fact pollute.
Maybe.
Chemical plants and oil plants and refineries that pollute. I used to live near that when I was growing up in Claymont, Delaware. And all the
Wait, but
more
I thought you
oil
grew up in
refineries
Scranton.
in Marcus Hook and the
I'm
Delaware
confused.
Yeah.
Basin than there is any place,
Right.
including in Houston at the time.
He
When my mom
decides.
get in the car and when our first frost,
Depending on the hour,
drive
I
me to
grew up
school,
somewhere
turn the
else.
windshield over, there'd be oil slick in the window. That's why so many people in my state were dying and getting cancer. The fact is, those frontline communities, it doesn't matter what you're paying them, it matters how you keep them safe. What do? And you impose restrictions on the pollutions the pollutants coming out of those fence line communities.
He's from everywhere.
Okay,
That's what
final
Colin
question.
Close
It
down
falls-
the oil
It
industry?
falls.
Would you close
it
down the
falls-
oil
By the way, I
industry?
would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I will
that's
transition.
a big statement.
It is a big statement
That's a big
because
statement.
I would stop
Why would you do that?
because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
Here's the deal, but
That's
you
a
can't
big
do that.
statement.
Well, if you let me finish the statement, because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time, and I'd stop giving to the oil industry. I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. He won't give federal subsidies to the gas. Excuse me, to solar and wind.
Yeah.
Why are we giving it to oil industry?
We actually do
All
give
right.
it to solar and wind.
We
And
have
that's
one
maybe the
final
biggest
question.
statement in terms of business. That's the biggest statement.
Okay.
Because
We have
basically
one
what he's
final
saying
question,
is he is
Mr.
going to
President.
destroy the oil industry. Will you remember that, Texas? Will you
Okay.
remember that, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
Vice President Biden, let me give you 10 seconds to respond, and then I have to get to the final question. Vice President Biden.
It takes everything out of context, but the point is, look, we have to move toward a net zero emissions. The first place to do that by the year 2035 is in energy production, by 2050 totally.
All right. One
Is he gonna
final
get
question.
China
We
to
don't-
do
we
it?
don't- we're
that
finished with
vote?
this.
Is he
We
going
have
to
to
get
move on
China
to
to
our
do it?
final question. We
No,
have to
I'm
move
going
on
to
to our final
rejoin Paris
question.
Accord and make China abide by what they agreed to.
All
That'll
right, this
cost you
is
$1
about
trillion.
leadership, gentlemen. And this first question does go to you, President Trump. Imagine this is your inauguration day. What will you say in your address to Americans who did not vote for you? You'll each have 1 minute.
I'm
starting
still
with
your
you.
We have to
president.
make our country totally successful as it was prior to the plague coming in from
Damn,
China.
Trump's thick.
Now we're rebuilding it, and we're doing record numbers, 11.4 million jobs in a short period of time, et cetera. But I will tell you, go back. Before the plague came in, just before, I was getting calls from people that were not normally people that would call me. They wanted to get together. We had the best black unemployment numbers in the history of our country. Hispanic, women, Asian, people with diplomas, with no diplomas, MIT graduates, #1 in the class. Everybody had the best numbers. And you know what? The other side wanted to get together. They wanted to unify. Success is going to bring us together. We are on the road to success. But I'm cutting taxes, and he wants to raise everybody's taxes, and he wants to put new regulations on everything. He will kill it. If he gets in, you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen. Your 401ks will go to hell, and it'll be a very, very sad day for this country.
All right. Vice President Biden, same question
I'm
to
sold.
you. What will you say during your inaugural address?
Yeah,
to
financially
Americans
during
who did not
Obama, it
vote
was
for you?
horrible for
I will
us.
say, I'm an American president. I represent all of you, whether you voted for me or against me. And I'm going to make sure that you're represented. I'm going to give you hope. We're going to move. We're going to choose science over fiction. We're going to choose hope over fear. We're going to choose to move forward because we have enormous opportunities to make things better. We can grow this economy. We can deal with the systemic racism. And at the same time, we can make sure that our economy is being run and moved and motivated by clean energy, creating millions of new jobs. And that's the fact. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to say, as I said at the beginning, what is on the ballot here is the character of this country: decency, honor, respect, treating people with dignity, making sure that everyone has an even chance. And I'm going to make sure you get that. You haven't been getting it the last 4 years.
All right. I want to thank you both for
Wet
a very
fart.
robust hour and a half, a fantastic debate. Really appreciate it. President Trump, former Vice President Joe Biden, thank you to Belmont University for hosting us tonight. And most importantly, thank you to those watching tonight. Election Day is November 3rd. Don't forget to vote. Thank
Trump's
you, everyone.
a dude,
and have a great
and
night.
Biden is a politician.
Oh, she gave him like a weird look.
All right. I'm gonna kill the
Oh, let's see. Wait, don't you want to see them walk up? The wives walk up.
Oh, shit.
Where's the man?
All right, no, I'm putting that back on screen. Wait a minute. Hell yeah, I'll put Melania back up. Are you kidding me? Ew.
Matches her dress. Oh my gosh, I've been looking for a dress, and they actually have dresses with
How
like
old is Melania? She's fucking hot.
Melania's like not even. I don't think she's in her 50s yet, is she?
it's like 49, 50,
I
something
was
like
gonna say
that.
she doesn't look young, but she's very
Yeah.
attractive.
Thank you for giving me the questions ahead of time.
Melania Trump is exactly
Aye.
50, right on the dot.
Mm,
And I'd still tap that ass.
She's exactly what?
She's exactly
Exact-
50.
Yeah, that I'm not surprised. You can tell that she's not young, but she's still pretty hot.
All right, whoops. Didn't mean to do that. I meant to do that and that. There we go. All right, settle down, audience. Gosh.
mhm.
All right. Let's go across the panel. What are some thoughts and some takeaways? I'll start with Alex.
I really liked that part where Biden says, all this stuff that's just come up about me, it's all Russian bullshit.
Mm-hmm. It's those goddamn
was really
Russians
good.
again.
It's those goddamn Russians.
They're everywhere. Red's in the bed.
It's all Russian. It's all Russian fake news. That was pretty fun. There was some good lines in there. There was I'm trying to remember what all of them were. I was expecting this to be boring because I mean I was still enjoying it. I wasn't even gonna come on because I was like, oh hey, this is actually kind of interesting. I'm gonna listen to it. It's not a kumite.
To be fair, Alex, you're on this show. It's not interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, but after
I just blew right through that. Okay.
yeah.
When in Rome, fuck the Romans.
I'm not even gonna respond to that. No, fuck you. I'm Joe Biden tonight.
Wow. Okay. I'm a Russian asking you to follow the rules. God damn it.
Yeah.
Now.
No, it's just I'm trying to remember some of the better fucking lines that fucking killed me because we laughed a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was the poor boys. There was
a lot of the stuff Joe said was funny because Joe is just a fucking goofy motherfucker. But
to be fair, I think there weren't as many gaffes as I was expecting, but I guess I was kind of blown away. Again, I've listened to very little of anything, but he does have a slur issue where some words he just kind of trails off or can't start them. It's just weird.
I kind of feel bad for him because a lot of times when he's just out doing random shit, like he's getting interviewed or maybe he's on the campaign trail, it's really bad. But in this format, he's trying to keep it together as much as possible because this is like his big day, right? He's trying to really keep it together, and he still fucks up, and you can tell that he's trying to keep it together, and it's like he just can't. He's keeping it together more than he normally does, and he still fucks it up, and it's like, God damn it, just keep it together, and he's like, I'm gonna fuck you. It's just the poor guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you take away, Laura?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's a surprise that I like Trump a lot. I didn't like him in the beginning, but
He's grown on you. His,
well, yeah,
his Cheeto dust has rubbed off.
Well, see, back in 2016, I thought that the only thing that could beat, Hillary would be like a hard constitutionalist like Ted Cruz and all that other, or Rand Paul. Like, I mean, I was really scared that Hillary was going to win, even though Obama years were awful. And I forgot what had happened where I was like, I don't know. I don't like anybody running. And my mom said, just watch one of Trump's rallies. And my mom wasn't a Trump fan. And she's like, you might, just see what he says. And it's exactly as Alex said, where it's like, this guy is talking to me like I want to be talked to. Because we've all
another person.
Where he looks at the screen and he's like, hey, I'm talking to you, fellow Americans.
Yeah. I mean, we all know. We all
God, that's so douchey.
He's such a politician.
But we've all watched the campaign trails where you have this, guy, he's, he's running for whoever's running for president, and they unbutton their top button, they take off their tie, they roll up their sleeves, and they sit on a stool, and they talk to you all folksy and shit.
Hey, folks, I'm just a regular American, just like you.
Hillary's hot sauce purse, hot sauce, and you have all that shit, and Trump is
just a dude.
He's just some dopey asshole from New York.
But he's not even dopey. Like, you cannot.
I don't mean dopey as in like. I mean like, the way he looks.
It's just he
looking motherfucker.
He doesn't fuck around because he knows that time is money.
But yeah, he's not a career politician. He's just a businessman from New York, and he talks a lot of trash, and he gets to the point and tells people off. I think that is the draw, and why he won the first time.
It was, and then on top of that, as soon as he was inaugurated, the moment that he reached the Oval Office, okay, it was lightning speed. What he accomplished in 2 months was what most presidents accomplish in 4 years. But it was lightning speed. And yeah, a lot of it was executive orders because he kept getting met with resistance. And nobody could really have called him out for it because you had Obama the 8 years prior signing off executive orders all the time. So he used that tactic against them, So it was like, I don't feel like I'm being belittled or talked down to or even categorized and put into a statistic when Trump talks to me. But everybody else, and that includes Republicans as well, well, you're a white female aged 24 to 36, and you're married and you own a house and you're you do whatever, you have a college education and this and that and that. So this is how I'm going to now talk to you in order to, kind of glean your support. And I never really fell for it. Because I don't know. I mean, I guess it's because of a family history and working in the entertainment slash advertising business and all that other stuff. Like I know the tactic, and also because when it comes to what's marketed towards me and my demographic, what's on TV for women like me and all that other stuff, it's usually like, here's a bunch of commercials where your husbands are dumb and your sons are, jerks, and your fathers are just as stupid as your husband. And the truth is, like, I take a lot of what the men in my life do and are and who they are to me. And when it comes to voting and everything, and put that into that as well. I mean, same thing with the women in my life too. That's besides the point, but I guess that was the whole thing. Like, I'm not just some sort of, I mean, I guess back in 2016, I was going to be a single issue voter because of how dismayed I was. But I feel like Trump, didn't make me that way.
And to this point of Trump is just a dude and Biden's a fuddy-duddy politician, is something I noticed is whenever Trump would get a jab in, am I echoing?
Mm-mm.
Okay, because I see you light up, Laura, sometimes when I talk.
Oh, hold on.
Is Trump would get in a jab where I would go, woo, or something like that. And then Biden would act all indignant and he'd get that furrowed brow and go, he's full of shit, Russia, blah, stand pat statement. And Trump's just like, what? Oh, that was the other seminal moment. See, there it is again. You're lighting up.
That's weird.
I don't know. But
there was that one moment where Trump, like, he does that, he does the what thing a lot, but there was one that fucking killed me, and that was when I don't remember exactly. It was something about a number. It was something about civilian numbers or something, and Trump he says, "What did you say?" And he just turns and he turns his fucking neck and just looks at him, and I was just like, I fucking died. I was just like, he was so fucking like, what did that motherfucker just say? Trump just looked at him like he just killed his cat. Like, what did Biden just fucking say? I'm about to walk over there.
Well, I think he was in the middle of responding to something. I forget exactly what it was. And then all of a sudden, Biden slipped in a quip of some kind, or attempted to, and Trump's like, what? The hell are you talking about?
I've never seen Trump actually turn his head. Usually he'll do little faces and say stuff, because Trump has some very iconic goofy faces he makes, but he seemed not happy. He just fucking turned his whole head. What?
The turning point for me, or when I knew he was going to give it to him, was pretty much at the beginning, where it was like, oh, your buddy, well, I guess maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'll say it. Your buddy, Hunter Biden, or not Hunter Biden, sorry, I was looking at
Rudy Gelatin.
Rudy.
Oh,
Gelatin.
Yeah, when he brought up Rudy Gelatin.
Yeah, and it was like,
he's basically a Russian spy. Or whatever.
Yeah, and
it's a bold claim.
And he
something like that. He's basically in with the Russians.
And that's when he was like, okay, all right, the gloves are off. Like,
yeah, up to that point, they had kind of been civil.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty sure, because I'm like watching it, and I'm like, is he even gonna bring it up? And there was parts where I was doubting it, and it's like they can't. They underestimate him as some like bloviating bagpipe, windpipe, whatever the fuck. But they can't pin him down, and that's why it's always at their peril. It's always at their peril.
Yeah, I don't think you should ever hope to talk shit with Trump.
Yeah.
Because he's not a politician. He's just gonna fucking talk shit.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk shit like a politician does. He's just gonna yell at you and tell you to shut up.
They underestimate him, and then they overanalyze him, and what happens at the end is they always look foolish at the end, because then like yesterday happened on the tarmac. He comes down and he told the reporters, "You're a criminal for not reporting on this shit with Hunter Biden. You are now complicit, like, because you refuse to report on this."
I always forget that he's actually fucking smart. Like,
Yeah.
when I think of Trump, I think of this crazy motherfucker, right? And then
Reality TV star, right? Yeah.
well, whenever he has so many numbers and factoids in his head, like, because I just think of the Trump persona, right? You know, the guy from Twitter and the guy that everybody reports about.
Well,
and then
the meme which came out tonight when he's like, "I'm the least racist person in the room." He just makes these huge sweeping statements where you're just like, Jesus Christ, dude.
One of the other ones I was going to bring up. That's hilarious. That was a fucking hysterical thing he said. But whenever somebody will say something to him, he'll actually have a whole bunch of just numbers and factoids, and it's like, damn, he had all that shit in his head, and it's like, Trump actually knows stuff.
And they're always underestimating. So he'll say that, and then once, like, they'll be like, "Oh, you're like," he gets the initial reaction out of them, which is like knee jerk. It's reactionary, and then every once in a
blah 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 blah, and you're like,
yeah,
you know all that shit.
Yeah,
we did this many things. We had this many numbers, and we did this good over here, and we have. By the way, the stock market was up, and I made a deal for this much money, and we got it down this much, and it's like, God damn.
Yeah, and then
he's got a fucking encyclopedia in his head.
Right, and then he'll say something. They'll just be like, "Oh, this is, I'm not even gonna answer because it's so stupid," or whatever. And what winds up happening is that the regular people that are like, "Well, wait, I kind of wanted to know what the hell he meant." They'll go and they'll like Google it. And oh yeah, he was right about this. Or now, I mean, you go to the fact checking websites and they reword everything. Like, there was literally something within the past 3 years where the president said, "Oh, such and such is just above 30%. I forgot what the hell it was. And they fact checked it as wrong, and they said, "Well, actually, the precise number is 33.9%." And it was like, oh
yeah, I guarantee you, within an hour, every single thing Trump said will be fact checked, and it'll all be wrong.
Oh yeah, oh, they'll definitely go after him saying the low IQ thing, for coming in to the country after being arrested and then released, and then coming back 2 years later to basically go on trial and be in prison.
I remember after the last debate, I remember one of the things I first saw on Twitter was fact checking everything that was said by Donald Trump in the debate. And it's like, oh, of course, everybody fact checked everything he said. It's like, okay.
And it's literally
I wonder how that went.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I would like to sit here and chat about it the entire evening, but it is getting on the cusp of 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
And I unfortunately have places to be in the morning, so I'm going to have to cut it short here. I will say this. I did not hate the moderator. It did seem she had a slight, interrupt Trump, follow up with Biden, more bias, but that was kind of to be expected.
Didn't Trump actually say thanks to her at one point?
Yeah, he said, "You're not as bad as the others."
Yeah.
She seemed,
but you have to ask him. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I want to thank Larry for joining me. Thank you, Alex, for popping in halfway. Yeah. Hopefully it wasn't a horrible experience.
Oh, no, it was fun.
Cool. Thank you all for watching, and I have one humble request. Why don't you stop and bust a move? Good night.
Something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop. Children, watch that sound. Everybody look what's going down. I think it's time we stop. Children, watch that sound. Everybody look what's going down. There's battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds. I get meeting so much resistance from behind. Time we stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. I think it's time we stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Just bust the move.
Stop. All right, you better stop. You better stop. Everybody look what's going down. What a field day for the heat. 1,000 people in the street, singing songs and a carrying sign. Mostly say hooray for our side. It's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. I think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Paranoia strikes deep. Into your life it will creep. It starts when you're always afraid. Step out of line, the man come and take you away. We better stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going, we better stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going, we better stop. Now, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going, we better stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.